we're going to be talking to him about that, how he fishes shallow water, how he finds these out of the way. I think weren't you guys out fishing today?
Kind of.
More like trying to film something. Well, welcome to Bass University Live. It's great to be back. I'm glad you guys are going to be here with us tonight. It's a great show we've got in store tonight. It's a Champions Fest. We have the champ from the Bassmaster Elite, Buddy Gross. He's going to be with us tonight, as well as Jordan Lee, fresh off the Bass Pro Tour demolition of the field. And we are going to be tackling a topic that I think is challenging to a lot of people. If you're like me, you struggled with this, and it took a long time for me to get confidence and be able to fish offshore. And when I talk about offshore fishing, I mean, I talk about it all. Ledges, brush piles, deep grass, isolated grass, all those things that are happening right now in the post-spawn, like we saw down at Lake Eufaula, and even in the summertime patterns down in Lake Toho, the Kissimmee chain, where Jordan Lee put the smackdown on. This is the time. This is the time of year. This is the time of year to get offshore. If you want to learn how to get offshore, go now. Now's the time, because most of the fish are out there, and this is the time to really get confidence with it. So if you're struggling in this area, you want to learn more about how to fish offshore, stay with us tonight. Get your questions ready. Get over to bassu.tv. Get subscribed if you're not subscribed yet. If we use your question on the air, we're going to give you a really cool prize. And we've got a great Father's Day gift going on at Bass University right now, a $70 gift pack for all new annual subscribers, which is really cool. A couple deep diving crankbaits and some great Bass U swag to go along with it. Makes a great Father's Day gift. So if you're a father and watching this, tell them you want that for your Father's Day present. So, but check it out. We're going to be on Facebook, we're YouTube, we're everywhere. And we have got our boys in the house tonight. I see GDP's with us tonight. Greg DePalma, fresh off tour, man. How's it feel? It must feel amazing to finally be back out on tour.
It does, man. It feels really, really good. Even just the driving part feels good, just to get out of the house and do something different.
I tell you what, I'm quarantining. I've been in the house, bored forever, and I go for drives. I promise you, I just go for drives, and I've never enjoyed driving more than I do right now. I'm stuck in here so much. But you guys been out, you've been fishing. Like I said, it's got to feel a little bit different fishing a social distant Bassmaster Elite. That looked unique on stage.
Yeah, the whole entire thing is completely different. From morning to end, how we have to stage our boats in the morning. The whole weigh-in line is completely different. The stage layout is different. I mean, the whole thing's different. Is it going to be the new norm? I mean, I kind of hope not. But Bass is doing a great job in keeping those guys safe. That's
great, man. That's interesting. We'll have to get into that later on about how you stage the boats, what that looks like, and the takeoff and coming in and the weigh-in. Because all we get to see is what's on the stage.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. I know I'm going to be fishing, and we're going to be talking about that. I'll be fishing for the first time this weekend in my first competition of the year. And
what?
And I'm
hope you're not rusty.
Yeah, I got to get out and take some jump shots, man. I'm telling you right now, I don't know if I can get anywhere near the rim. My pitching and flipping is going to be sideways, but I'm super psyched. I can't wait. It's going to be a great call. Speaking of which, you guys all hear them, and I could see them. I know Riz is in the house tonight, but we got BTC and the Riz. How are you guys?
Good, great. Yeah. So you're fishing this weekend, Pete?
It is official.
He's catching.
Who you fishing with?
I'm fishing with Mr. Derek Parker.
Okay.
Who is a longtime Bass University subscriber, him and his son, Brooks. They traveled with us to Mexico for our Bass University outing. and they've been onward training customers with me for quite a few years. So I'm looking forward to. I have to get a boat, Greg. That's why, I'm
gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm short of a boat, and I thought mine would be here by now. And Derek was gracious enough to, offer his up, and he's got a top shelf skeeter boat we're going to be fishing out of this weekend. I'm looking for. He's a great guy. He's a good angler. His son is a super stud, Brooks, and you'll never guess who Brooks is fishing with.
I don't know.
Top pro that's in the Derby, that probably
Schmidt.
One of the top picks in this tournament, because he's won a major event here before.
Oh, it's got to be Brian Schmidt.
Brian Schmidt.
Wow, Brian Schmidt's fishing it.
Brian Schmidt's fishing it with Brooks, and I'll be fishing it with Derek.
Wow, who else? Greg DePalma.
And the hottest guy in the dirt now is Riz.
That's true.
He's winning them all.
That's a fact. Riz, how many wins on the Bay this year, Riz?
19.
Three
Don't
wins.
sound happy, Riz.
Top 10 in a lunker with 5 alive.
Damn,
Nice.
that's stout, dude.
Right?
That's good.
He's a vacuum.
That's very stout, because you know what? It's hard to win on the Bay because, so many guys are fishing around each other. You're splitting fish amongst the grass beds. You've been getting sneaky out there, Riz.
Yeah, I kind of just keep getting lucky, Pete. Just keep landing on them. I don't really know where I'm going when I leave the no wake. I just drop down on them.
That's the best way to do it, man. No plane.
Better to be lucky than good sometimes, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's right. And you get a couple of good tournaments, not necessarily even always wins, but you fish a few good tournaments, and those decisions you just kind of feel good making them. You don't get that second guess, and you guys can speak to that. That always goes a really long way. When you're not second guessing where you're going and everything. So,
what's your plan this weekend, Riz?
Fish the grass. You know where I'll be.
It's kind of weird not seeing your face.
Yeah, my face.
Well, they can't see on the Zoom.
Oh, I'm looking at I'm looking. Oh, they can't see me on the
They
Zoom.
can't see you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you pulled up on my other screen over here. I see you chilling on the sofa over there, Riz.
Yeah, I'm big chilling on the sofa. Me and BTC, we got at least like 11 feet apart. So.
Yeah, it's a solid 11 feet. We're so safe. we're safe for everybody around us. We're like building up safe credits. We probably just saved lives of people we don't even know. We're so safe right now.
Well,
that's how
I
safe
appreciate
we are.
you. I appreciate you adhering to the company rules we opened up.
Yes.
Professional Edge and Bash University has opened up, and we have instituted a social distancing policy in the studio. So
yeah, so Pete Glusik's fishing it. Greg DePalma, the Riz. We got Brian Schmidt.
You too?
Is Johnny Cruz coming?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. I know he was talking about maybe coming, and Riz was talking about being lucky and good, or both, or one or the other, and I feel like not lucky and also probably not good. So I got that covered.
Brian,
I'm holding that one down, but yeah, I'm fishing it.
Well, you were out there this weekend, right?
I was.
Okay.
I was out there Saturday. So yeah, I'm fishing it with Dave, and we're going to compete in this. How many boats are they up to?
Over 100.
Over 100? And
nice.
at least one of them is going to be a tin boat. So we'll be out there in my tracker with an electric only torpedo on the back of it.
I love it. I absolutely love this strategy. I think you're in a position to probably do a lot better than you think you're going to be able to.
I think so too. More time on the trolling motor.
And more time on the trolling motor, and you eliminate all that running around. You eliminate, the
oh yeah, my options are very limited. It's going to happen or it ain't. I won't have a whole lot of I should have went here or there because I couldn't. So,
well, I don't want to hear you and Dave fighting,
Hey, as long as he stands up. Dude, he's been in a kayak the last few years. Guess what he was doing on the back of my boat? Sitting down and casting all day. I'm like, yo, bro. The kayak world changes them, man.
Jeez.
But, I'm going to need him to stand up and probably focus a little more. He was very much into looking around a lot. And you know how Dave gets, he's kind of, everybody that walked down a dock, he would kind of enter into their conversation or start commenting about it. Or a bird flew by, and it would remind him of a story of this time a bird flew by 10 years ago. And I was just like, oh my God, Dave.
Yeah. In between his sips from his microbrew, is he allowed to have those in the Ike Foundation tournament?
I know we're planning on it. I mean,
well, the boys from Yards brought like a case of beer in the boat last year when I fished with them, and that was pretty crazy, man. We were cracking beers at like 8 o'clock in the morning, making me try each and every one, and I was, as hard as that was to do, I felt like I had to.
Yes. You don't
obligated.
You don't want to be rude, Peter.
Well, hey guys, the Ike Foundation is an amazing foundation. It helps get rods and reels into the hands of kids that might never get a chance to do it. It helps expose people all over the world to fishing, and it does a great job at scholarships, helping kids that are into our sport, doing great things, get some money for college. That's what the Ike Foundation is about. That's why we're all participating, not just to win the Bass Cat and Yamaha, but that we're trying for. If you guys can't come to the tournament, I want you to go to ikefoundation.org and click the donate button, and whatever you can give is going to go to the kids and help out this wonderful sport of fishing of ours. So take advantage of that. Get over there and do that. I also want to bring this up is my friend, a friend of the show, friend of Bass University, an instructor at Bass University. Of course, Aaron Martins is battling cancer. He's going through treatments, and he's doing good. And I just want to. He's got a GoFundMe page, and I want to invite you guys to go over and help out there if you can. Give whatever you can. Going to help Aaron with his extremely high medical bills that he's dealing with. So. Shout out to Aaron, thinking about you, buddy. Stay tough. I know you're running, you're working out, and you're going through all these treatments. It's quite impressive. Look forward to seeing you back out on tour. So we got all that going on, guys, and we got an amazing show. Guys watching us on YouTube, click the notifications buttons down there. So when we go live, you guys like what we're doing here. I want you to be able to get that information, as well as on Facebook. If you're watching us over there, make sure your notifications are turned on. So when we BTC, the Riz, GDP, and myself go live, you guys can get it every time. We've got an amazing show. If you're just tuning in, it's all about offshore. We've got Buddy Gross, we got Jordan Lee, and we're going to be talking about post-spawn, summertime, offshore patterns on tonight's show. And we got a lot of great giveaways, right, Riz?
Yes, we absolutely do. We'll be taking your questions on the IM board all night long, and if you get your questions through on the show, you're going to have a chance to win some awesome prizes. We got some Ike's mini flip jigs from Missile, some Missile Baits D-bombs, some Flambeau boxes, some Rod Warrior rod protection sleeves, Minn Kota hats, Bash U shirts, all kinds of good stuff. And guys, the way that you're going to get those prizes is by asking a question on bashu.tv/live, okay? So if you're not already signed up for the program, you're missing out because you're not getting access to our over 700 instructional videos from the best anglers in the world, but you won't be able to get your questions through. So head over to Bashu TV right now. You can get signed up using the promo code BULive30. That'll give you 30 days for free to try out the website and all the videos on there, but also get your questions answered on the show tonight. And now if you're over on Facebook and you insist on loafing around, just kind of milling around over there watching, not really going over to Bashu, that's fine. Like and share our feed tonight, and you're going to be entered in for a chance to win a Facebook like and share prize pack, which includes Ike's Renegade Sunglasses Signature Series, Ike's Mini Flip from Missile Baits, a pack of Nico hooks, a Bash University shirt, and a Bash University hat. So even if you guys are over there on Facebook, like and share the feed, get a chance to win some awesome prizes from tonight's show. And also, we're going to be giving away a Ken Duke trivia grand prize, and the grand prize is a over $75 value. In my opinion, it's closer to $100. We're giving you a Flambeau box. It's already got baits loaded into it. There's Rapala DTs, there's Rapala Brats, Zooms, Linky Worms. We're gonna get you a Bash University hat, some Ike Series sunglasses, a Minn Kota hat, and your Flambeau box that's hooked up with baits. So hang with us all night, guys. We're gonna take that question at the end of the show. And if you're a Bash U TV subscriber, you got a chance to win that awesome prize pack.
Awesome. And we are going to be having our guys on here real soon. BTC, are we going to take a break right now?
Yep,
And we're going to be bringing
Buddy Gross
right back
and the buddies in the queue.
Yep.
And commercials ready to roll.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick it out because I want to get right to Buddy Gross. I know you guys do too. It was if you guys didn't see it, you got to go back and watch some of the highlights. If you did, it was amazing to watch him come from 10th place and crush the field with a giant 27-11 pound stringer.
Jeez.
And he's going to be here talking to us about exactly how to do that. And you can learn how to fish offshore. So we're going to be back in just a few minutes with the champ, Buddy Gross, for Bass University TV.
The micro jig rod from Cashin is not only a micro jig rod, it also works great for shaky heads, also works great for wacky worms, also works great for smaller finesse style swim baits. So 7 foot 1 inch, medium action, fast taper. You want a workhorse spinning rod, you might want to look at the micro jig rod. I got one, and then I had to end up getting 3 or 4. So the micro jig rod by Cashin, your next workhorse in your spinning rods.
Every moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together, the One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse, everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail.
Happens every time.
The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter.
Not good.
Motor oil.
Gotta keep the rust off all these baits.
WD-40.
Keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau tackle storage systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
Hey guys, welcome back. Bass University Live. Glad you guys could be with us tonight. Amazing show tonight. We're going to be talking offshore fishing, whether it's, brush piles, grass, ledges, you name it. This is the time of year when things start happening offshore in the post-spawn and summertime pattern. So get your questions together. We're all going to, I hope we're going to learn some stuff tonight. I think we are, because we have one of the most amazing offshore anglers on the planet with us tonight. And he just impressed the whole world with some amazing fishing down on Lake Eufaula. And we're so pleased to have him with us tonight. It's the champ, the winner of the recent Bassmaster Elite Series down on Lake Eufaula, Buddy Gross. Good to have you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's great. It was so awesome. We've seen this a couple times now where you get these thrilling come from behind wins. We saw Jamie Hartman do it down on Gunnersville. But man, oh man, everybody was catching them so good. I didn't think anybody thought there was a way that somebody could come from your spot and take this trophy, but you sure did it.
Man, it was a blessing, I promise you. I was lucky to even be there. If Shane hadn't brought in too many fish, I wouldn't have been there. So it was interesting. I knew I'd caught some quality fish all week, and I knew I could get there if I could just have the chance. But I didn't have any idea I'd make the win. I knew I could drive for a top 5, though, I thought.
Well, with the confidence you have, you can see it while you're fishing out there. I've never seen somebody look so comfortable being offshore and doing what they're doing as you look then. But just to go back just for a second on that deal, a lot of people might not know Shane LeHue. He turned himself in for fishing while he accidentally had 6 fish in the boat.
Yep.
And that kept him out of the top 10, and that gave you the 10th place spot. Are you sending him a box of Omaha steaks?
He did tell me I owe him dinner, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to give him something, but I ain't sure what. I got to call him, and it's been a whirlwind. I can't believe how fast-paced this has been since the win. It is impressive how many people's involved in this and how many people are interested. So I think the sport grew this week. I really do.
Well, and it's credit, hats off to Bassmasters. You've won some big tournaments in other tournament trails. But you won this Bassmaster event. Do you see a difference? Are you getting your phone blown up more?
Oh yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's the Bassmaster thing, but it's nothing I've done. But yes, it is blown up, and I've been busy since the moment that I walked off the stage. It has been wide open. So I have had about 45 minutes every 2 or 3 hours to work on some tackle, try to get ready to go up north because I'm gonna try to sneak off up there soon. So. But yeah, it's been crazy. I'm enjoying it. My hometown gave me almost like a parade when I got home, so it's pretty cool. I mean, it's been wild. I mean, it seems like I won something giant. I mean, it is giant, but I mean, it seems like it's the World Series or something. So
that's
awesome.
That is awesome. What did they give you a parade? What was it like when you got home? What was the celebration?
They were just lined the street, and I was actually driving down the road, and everybody's holding signs up, hollering. I'd say there's 100, 150 people there, and it was pretty neat. And I pulled in, got our picture made. So
that's really cool, man.
Yeah,
that's really
unexpected.
Cool.
It was really neat.
Yeah,
man.
I feel like with everything going on, the people just needed that. Your hometown needed that. That's really cool.
It was nice. I mean, they were. My hometown is a quite a big area. I'm kind of got the big. I got a big circle of friends, and they span 100 miles. So people come from a long ways just to be here for that. So it's pretty neat.
That's terrific, and that is around Lake Chickamauga.
Yeah, I'm 45 minutes from the center of Chickamauga. So I'm in Georgia. I live in Chickamauga, Georgia, which is actually the creek that runs out at the dam. How Chickamauga Lake got its name. So I'm at the spring that pretty much started it all right here.
Well. Let's jump into that because you're a super talent when the fish go post spawn, when they get out off the banks, you have a knack for it. Let's say that. How did you get so good at it? Just from spending all those hours at Chickamauga, or how did that happen?
I was very blessed. My father loved to fish, and he took me all the time. And I can remember the days he had me offshore and I was begging him to take me to the bank so I could throw at something. So it started out wide for me, and I graduated to the bank a little bit, and then I realized he was right. I needed to be offshore, and it was a love, and I stayed out there and stayed after it and just figured it out, and it's just progressed into what it is now.
Well, you could see it. You look like a duck, swimming on a pond out there. You're right at home. Not a care in the world. You felt like, and that's what it looked like to me. And your confidence, of course, once you start jacking back-to-back 7-pounders, I imagine you get a little confident.
Yeah, you get a little cocky when they start rolling up with big heads, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome to watch. There's so many things I want to talk about, and I really don't know where to get started, but I think and Riz, I can't see you, so you let me know. I'm going to need you to chime in with some IMs because I want to open up the floor to our Bass University TV subscribers to talk to Buddy.
We already got him, Pete. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Man, let's let some of our subscribers get in the show. But we use your question on the show. We're going to hook you up with a cool prize. What question do you have for Buddy Gross?
Well, first of all, our first question of the night that we're going to bring in is from Anthony Darren. And Anthony Darren, congratulations. You won yourself a Rod Warrior USA custom Bass University rod cover. Check that thing out. This thing is going to protect your rods, and it floats, as you saw in Pete's swimming pool when he threw his rod in the water last week. But
that's the only use his rod's got this year.
Anthony Darren would like to know, Buddy, how do you line up on your offshore waypoints and hit the target on the first cast?
That's the easy one. I'm using the Humminbird 360, and it's almost like looking at your clock. I mean, you just take a look, and it's like a dial. If it shows up at 1 o'clock, you throw it at 1 o'clock. And if you watch the video, there'll be several times when the wind's blowing or shifting my boat around, and I lay my rod up on top of the 360 to get a good mark on the bank to make a cast. And it's a one-shot deal. Once you figure that out, it's easy. I mean, literally, that 360 makes hitting a target simple.
Wow.
That is, and speaking of which, shout out to these guys. I'm going to be rolling the Solix 12s this year. What are you using?
I'm running Helix 12s. I got 2 at the console and 2 at the bow. And something pretty neat, when I've been running a few seminar class type actions, so I got the 360 on the front, I can be up front and the client's in the back, and I can put it even on the back graph and he can see the 360. So he gets to see the exact same thing I'm seeing, and it helps them learn how to use it also. So there's a lot of options as long as you put them all together with your media, and then you can show a lot of things on all the screens.
And this is an interesting, and I know I have more questions than the IM board does because I'm fascinated with this type of fishing. But one of the problems that I have, and I watched Brian Thrift's seminar over on Bass U TV. Guys got to go check it out. He uses the 360 and his Humminbird units in a very unique way. But how do you manage all that clutter? Like you're an offshore guy. You got to have 6,000 points of brush piles on place like Eufaula. How do you code it, or what do you do to manage all that data?
I actually wish I'd have coded them a little better than what I did after I got down there and got to fishing, because in practice, I didn't realize it as much as I did during the tournament, but I was fishing like 3 different kinds of brush. We had some cedar out there, we had hardwood out there, and we had something else. I'm still not sure what it is, but and it mattered. The cedar trees actually held the fish later in the day because they'd sit around it, not in it. And in the hardwood, they were always down in it. So it was kind of weird. I could catch them on a swim bait on cedar, and I could catch them on the jig in the hardwood. So as far as management, though, I would actually label every brush pile, whether it was small, big, large. I mean, I have my own little system, and I wish I had some more icons. And if I could ask for anything at all on the Humminbird, it would be icons. But it takes a lot of labeling for me.
Man, how do you tell the difference? I get the cedar tree, you could differentiate from the hardwoods.
Yeah, I think the cedar that I'm talking about was easy to identify because it was so thick you couldn't actually view through it. You couldn't see the other side. It'd be just like looking off a ledge, how it turns solid black when you drop off of a deep spot or something. But the deal with it is I think the Costa guys, or I keep calling it Costa, but the series guys were there the week before us. So a lot of those guys were locals, and I think a lot of those guys like I've said to a lot of people, I think everybody around that lake's got part beaver in them. I mean, there was so much brush down there, but they were putting new brush out. I'm pretty sure they were putting it out. And I think I found some of that fresh brush, and that fresh stuff, when it's green, it puts off oxygen until it gets to a certain point, and then it turns to carbon monoxide, and they'll leave it until it all dies off, and then they'll come back. But I think I was on the tail end of that brush still being real oxygenated, and they were pulling to it.
Wow, that's pretty interesting how you use it down there. I know, Greg, you're a big time Humminbird guy too, and you're advanced in your use of electronics.
Yeah. I actually during the event, I had one of the other competitors pull up on me without 360. They didn't have Humminbird, and they asked me where the fish are because they couldn't see them. I can see them. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I had the same thing happen to me.
Did you? They're like, where
they let me ride around and find them, with the 360. And said, where do we need to cast?
That's right.
But I only did that the first day.
They don't give them too many secrets.
Heck no, man. That's and I gotta say, Brian Thrift has been touting that as his secret weapon for his success for these last few years, and it seems like everybody's on it because, man, the 360 is so popular, they're hard to keep in stock.
Yeah. I think it's a big thing though is the style of fishing you have too. If you're a guy that likes to structure fish, it's almost a must in my opinion.
Well, that's interesting because one of the things that I like about it is that, independent of your movement on the trolling motor and, it still keeps that image of where that structure and that habitat is. Like it doesn't disappear when you move the head of your trolling motor around.
That's exactly right. And you get to see what's coming through it while you're sitting there watching it at the same time.
Right. Well, that's amazing stuff. And Riz, I know we've got some questions in the queue. I don't want to hog Buddy up from our subscribers. So hit us with some more Bass University subscriber questions.
Absolutely, Pete. Sean Boyle on the message board wants to know, Buddy, what is your offshore worm setup as far as your rod, your reel, and the type of worms you prefer to use?
If it's shell or rock, I'm using the new Owner Magnum shaky head with a Zoom. So my mind just went blank. Trick worm, but it's the super trick worm. Anyway, it's usually going to be a green pumpkin setup for me. And then if I'm Texas rigging an old monster, and I'm usually using at least a 3/16 ounce tungsten weight. 17-pound test on both of them. 7.3 heavy or 7.3 extra heavy, depending on how deep or far out I'm casting. When you get into those Magnum heads, the hook diameter gets a little bigger, so I probably switch to a extra heavy rod, kind of like I did the jig down at Eufaula. But 7.3 to 1 always, so I can catch up with them if they're doing something crazy or trying to jump or something. And that's pretty much it. It's a Daiwa Tatula SV reel for me.
Outstanding. Great question. Well, you talked about it, so I want to follow up with it. You won it on the last day anyway, using your custom jig that is going to be available for Nichols. At least that's what you said on Bassmasters. And that I got a couple questions there. Now, I want you to tell us about the jig, but you seem like you were talking like when you figured out that the jig was the deal, it was like everything changed.
It did.
And how did that happen? When was that moment when epiphany, like, man, I need to be throwing the jig?
I truly had it tied on from day one. I broke out the worms because I had everything that I know about this time of year. The worm seems to be the best bite. So I had exactly what he just asked me about tied on the deck. And I actually had put a bad nick in my line. I didn't know it, and I threw the old monster towards the brush pile. And when I did, the worm went plumb to the bank, and my line was still in my hand. It just broke off and was gone, and I didn't want to throw the shaky head in, so I picked up my jig out of the box. I stopped fishing, opened the rod locker, pulled the jig out, and the first cast, it never hit the bottom, and I annihilated it. But a lot of this brush had, and we've only a few people have talked about it, not all of it now, so don't get me wrong, but I'd say a third of the brush we were fishing had blue shellcracker beds around them in like 8 to 10 feet of water. And I started seeing more and more shellcrackers show up. So I really believe it was a brim pattern. And it just, lights came on. And once I figured it out, I didn't really want to put it down after that.
Yeah, that was news to me. I I saw one of the other guys talk about that, and that was surprising to me that I didn't realize that they spawn that deep.
I didn't either, but I'm telling you, there are a lot of them. And when you find the beds, it would be 20, 30 of them in one place. And in one place that only time I broke my line during the tournament on a fish, I was around the largest shellcracker bed, and I really think it was the biggest bite I had, and it was on the last day. But I did break my line on that fish, and I didn't get another bite there. But it was a for real big one.
So the jig to you, that's a shellcracker. That's a bluegill imitation.
That's what I was after, yes, sir.
Gotcha. Now there are some features on that jig, and you're designing it, right? So
yes,
you're
sir.
building it to fish structure, maybe long casts. What's unique about that jig? What makes it a good structure jig?
Well, my team partner here at home, his name's David Kraft. He actually owns Boat Logic's boat mount, or electronic mounts too. But he and I have been talking about it for a long time because I'm really bad about making really long casts. And when I say long cast, I'm seeing brush at 80 to 100 feet, and I'm hitting it on my cast. So that's a long ways from you. And I wanted a jig that would penetrate better, and not just hook diameter, but also a weed guard that was a little bit lighter. So we've lightened the weed guard up as far as the diameter of the weed guard. What I was noticing is when we went to smaller diameter hooks, the needle point was sharper, finer, and you could run your finger down the weed guard, and it would actually, one of the strands would hit the tip of the hook, and it would actually sit on it and eliminate you from being able to get a good hook, if you follow what I'm saying. It would hang up on the tip of the hook. So once we started going down in hook size, I realized we needed to go down in weed guard size. So, and it all just kind of come together, and then, we're tying the skirts instead of sliding them on, just some simple things. And I don't know the production model will have a tied skirt. It's probably going to still have a slip on, but that's a pretty easy fix to stop it from doing that. But the main thing is the hook, heavier rod, and me running that lighter weed guard was the biggest key.
Right.
What pound line are you throwing it on, buddy? 17, you said?
17, 100% fluorocarbon, yes, sir.
Excellent. Yeah, that's getting those hook sets on that distance is critical, man. Plus you're in deep water too, so you gotta, you've got all that friction of that deep water to deal with with all that line out there.
That's right.
Jig is important.
And you'd be surprised if one day y'all do a little test, if you'll stretch one out about 50 or 60 feet, cut the point off the hook and just hold the end of the hook and let somebody pull on it pretty hard until you can see how much stretch is really in our rods, our line. There's still a lot of stretch to everything. And the only way we can get away from that is run braid and leaders. And I'm just not at that point in my career yet. I'm still old school. I'm still liking the single line attachment, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to experiment with that in the future. But if you stand 50 feet across a garage, because that's how long my garage was, and we were doing some testing, it blow your mind how much you really don't pull it when you really pull on it.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you stumble onto the jig down there, GDP?
I tried. I could never get it going. Same thing. That big worm, for the first 2 days, that's what they wanted, man. And that's or a crankbait. I mean, that was kind of a deal too, but that big worm was definitely the deal 100%.
Well, we saw Scott Canterbury, lead that tournament. We thought he was going to go wire to wire, especially after like 10 o'clock in the morning, where he had an 8-pound lead on the field. Nobody would have bet you could have run him down.
I wouldn't have betted either when I left, but I knew I had nothing to lose, and I was just going fishing. And truly, the new brush is what made the difference. I run new brush and caught 2 of those big fish out of new brush. So I was never afraid to run new stuff because I knew every day in practice you'd fish something new and you get a big bite, 1 out of 10. So it just was a matter of running and running and running. And when you think you're tired, do it some more. So.
Well, I want some of the other people to get involved here. Riz, let's hit them with some more IM questions.
That's right. Grant Hunter wants to know, buddy, when you go fishing offshore at a new lake, what is the first thing you look for when you're fishing offshore?
Typically I'm looking for fish offshore. I'm not looking for structure as much as I am fish for this time of year. And ironically, I was really disappointed that I didn't find schools offshore down there, because after I had 500 brush piles, I started looking for schools, and I was really disappointed. But I think where I missed it was I think they were further in the creek or further out on the river than where I was looking, because when I would leave my first stop, which is way upriver, 30 minutes after blast off, I'd run down the river and I see less than 4 boats all the way to the dam. So that tells me I missed it bad somewhere. But I like the main river channel edges this time of year, and I'm looking for a little bit of something different. Everybody looks at creek mouths. Everybody looks at high spots. But if you can find a swag in a river bar or a wash in, there's a lot of that stuff that don't get shown up on maps that people overlook. So the best key I can give you, and I'm giving away a pretty good secret here, sit on top of the bars, not in the creek channels, shoot off into the river, and you can find every irregularity there is in a river bar, whether it's a steeper bluff or a tapered off into the river, or a steep drop off, or a ditch or a tree. You can see how many fish are sitting off the edge of the break if you're shooting off the break.
Did you hear that, BTC? That's a blow your hair back moment.
Yeah.
And I'm Pete. I'm actually still sitting here processing, listening to what he said. So
I want to hit rewind.
So buddy, what you're saying is go from the bank out, not offshore in when you're graphing?
Well, if you're sitting out by the river and you pull up on the river bar, let's just say the river channel is 35 feet deep and the river bar is 15 feet deep. You want to sit in 15 feet deep and idle down that, shoot side imaging into the river, and then that way you can find fish that are suspended off the break as well that you'll never see if you're sitting in the river.
But you're still running both sides of your side imaging, right? Not just the river side?
I am, and that's how I find irregularities off the left side, because usually a river bar is going to have a high spot that's not real wide. You're going to have deep, it'll be a little deeper to the left and to the right also. It'll be into the river if you're going down the lake. So what I'm trying to say is when you're on top of it, you're going to see everything on top and everything on both sides. And if you're in the river, you're going to see everything. If you're shooting towards the break, you're going to see just that, because there's nothing to the right worth looking at. If you're shooting out in the middle of the river, you're not going to fish there. So I try to cover as much water as productive as I can.
Man, that's well, for you guys listening at home that don't know, the Tennessee River, when you're in the main river channel, you have river bars, what Buddy's talking about, and they come up and then they drop off a little bit as that goes to the bank. And
yes,
everybody, myself included, until now, thank you, Buddy, I idle in the main river channel, and I watch that bar. I look off to the left-hand side to try to find fish and structure that's up on top of that bar. What a unique concept to just get up on top, and you can see so much more.
And you'll find random brush on top and on the back side where people's trying to hide it. I mean, people are sneaky that do brush now. These boys are doing it for a living, I promise you. So they're trying to be sneaky, and I got to get sneaky to find it. So,
what's the sneakiest place you've seen people put brush?
Well, the sneakiest place that you actually find really good brush is the biggest, flattest flat with no contours around it. And they'll put one out in the middle where nobody's supposed to be looking for it, and it'll hold the ones that you need.
Nice. Well, speaking of that, in this tournament, did it matter where the brush was located? Was it the sneaky places, or was it main river ledges, or up shallow? Where was the good brush?
Sneaky places were the best just because they were being overlooked the most. And when you have that much brush and you start finding it on every point, then everybody knows to look for it on every point. And then you find it at every ditch mouth, and everybody's looking for it at every ditch mouth. So I started looking for the stuff that was a little less, a little less desirable, I guess would be a better way to put it. And not all of them were good. Like, I zeroed on a bunch of them. I fished the last morning, I probably fished 17 or 18 piles before I had a bite. That did not make me feel good. I thought it was fixing to be a long day.
How long are you spending on those brush piles before you're pulling it and going? Like 3 casts, 5 minutes, what?
It's kind of a gut deal, but most of the time, if I hit it 4 times without a bite, I'm gone.
Right.
And if I feel it's really, really rough, I wouldn't throw my swim bait through it just so I didn't want to have to go unhook it. But if I didn't feel it being extremely rough, I always made 1 or 2 casts with swim bait before I left, because every now and then I'd catch them after I'd fished it with it.
Open hook?
I was using open hook, but I really, really, really used an expensive head this past week. So it was it was a swim jig that I had cut everything off of to make it a weedless one. So it was one of them deals. I had bought an expensive bait and made it work for me. So I did go get them if I got hung.
That's cool.
I had a question for you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
So this question is basically, I don't know if it's a myth or if it's true. So you're a true ledge guy, so I'm going to ask you. So all the stuff that I basically read about ledge fishing, a lot of guys talk about water temperature. Is water temperature mainly the deal, or is it more or less the time of year what the fish are doing?
We've always said since I've been doing this, and it's been a while, I tell them my age, but if the water temperature hits 70 degrees when you put the boat in the water in the mornings, those fish out. That's kind of been my telltale sign. Just because it hits 70 degrees in the afternoon, that don't count. It needs to be 70 degrees in the AM when you first put in, and you can pretty much figure you got some out. With that being said, at 70 degrees in the AM, that means there's also probably a shad spawn somewhere. And to be honest with you, you can get really, really wealthy off of shad spawns. And I never took advantage of shad spawns until I started fishing on this level because I never want to give up a deep spot to fish a shallow spot. But doing what we do for a living, I have now started doing everything I can to exploit the shad spawns.
Good.
How about do you see some shad spawn activity out on the river bars or out on the ledges?
If you have some type of structure, grass or brush or something, you can. But if it's just a straight, full-blown slick bottom ledge schooling place, I've not seen it much, no.
Gotcha. Well, you were talking about your expensive lure for your jig head for your swim bait. I saw you in that tournament go fetch that jig. You were not giving up that jig.
I only took 6 with me, and I ironically, it didn't get hung much. But one of them, like I wound up having a bad guide on the last day. I don't know if y'all got to see that. I broke my line twice because of a guide that had broken in moving around somewhere between the house and the boat, I guess. But I lost 2 there and somewhere else during the day. But I had 4 that I really believed in because the other 2 were a different color. So I lost 3 of them, and that was my last one. And then when at the end of the tournament the other day, bass took it, so I had to come home and start making some more.
Yo, Ronnie, give me my jig back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna call and ask for it back, I think.
Hey, what was that retriever that you used? I saw you put something on your line and just slide it down, and it came right out.
It's just a little 1 ounce lead weight with a little clip on it, and it just put on top of it and slide. It's just like a little knocker. I mean, it's either going to give it back or you're going to lose both the items at that point.
Right. It worked.
But it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot quicker than pulling out the hound dog,
Yeah, sure enough. Riz, talk to me. What do you got there?
Pete, the Albion Wesleyan Church would like to know from Buddy, what is your go-to offshore bait? As soon as you pull up on a brush pile or whatever it may be you're fishing offshore, what's the number one confidence bait that you're picking up?
It's always been a swim bait. I was born slow rolling a spinner bait. My very first fish that ever was over 4 pounds was on a slow rolled spinner bait when I was about 7 years old. So swim baiting come natural to me, and that's my first go-to choice. If you can see the wall behind me, I think it's all swim baits, but it's that's what I like. A soft hollow belly or a Scott Spur tackle swim bait. The Zoom 5-inch swimmer is an awesome all-around bait, and my Scott Spur tackle gets the job done when it's more of a tight wiggle, clean water type bait. So I've got several ones that I like depending on water clarity and time of year.
Swim bait. You can't beat it. Let me run down your arsenal. Like when you're out ledge fishing, what's your 5 rods, 10 rods? What do you got?
I'm usually running, the sniper head, which is what everybody else would call a scrounger that Scott Spur Tackle makes. I've always got 1 or 2 of those tied on. I'll have an open hook type deal, which I'm doing some slide in a lead head inside of the hollow belly swim baits, which makes for a really good hookup ratio. I use it. And one I've kept secret for a long time, and it's starting to get out, so I might as well share it with you guys, being it's our first time on the show, is Ledge Hog. It's a bladed bait. I throw a 5-inch lot. If you've seen the 5-inch, I think it weighs 3.5 ounces, and the 4-inch weighs like 3 ounces. But it is like a magnum. When I say magnum, it's a magnum silver buddy. I can long line with it sitting still. I can throw every bit of line I have off of any reel that you give me. I promise you it'll be empty. And I can cover a water column. Let me tell you this, in 25 feet of water, it hits the bottom in 2.5 seconds. So that tells you how fast I can cover water. And it catches fish on pressured lakes behind people after they leave. It's awesome. I run deep crankbaits, and I run the football head with the mag shaky head or the magnum trick worm. And that's about it. The jig's always close, but I promise you that worm usually does the deal. So why I picked up the jig is just a blessing from the Lord, all I can tell you, because I wouldn't have done it in normal circumstances.
It's meant to be. That back to that bait that you just gave up. It's a silver buddy style bait, like
it is
a vibrating metal bait.
Hang on 1 second. I'll show you one thing.
Man, I got to get a look at this one, GDP.
I've seen them before. When I was on Douglas a few years ago, I want to say it just started to come out down there, and they're just a silver buddy on steroids.
That's amazing to me because
it's burnt concrete.
Yeah, I can't.
They're come from Douglas. I mean, they were designed and performed at Douglas, but this is a painted up one. It's a custom color. There's their logo, so you can't. Let's see, I'm trying to get it right for you. Ledgehog.
Okay.
But it is a bait that covers water extremely fast on ledges, and it gets bit. Flat out gets bit. You can take that bait and wake it, or you can put it on the bottom, or you can make it where it rises off the bottom just by a strokes type pull, like you're going to drag a Carolina rig, but sweep it faster. It'll rise. You can make it rise 3 feet, 2 feet. It has a lot of options to it.
So you don't raise and drop it. You do a lot with it.
I do a lot with it. I'm usually side sweeping it, and I'm moving it pretty fast. I just move it sideways, and I fall back to bottom. By the time you're able to slack up, when you pull it again, there's usually one got a hold of it when you get on them. I mean, it's a catcher for sure.
That's amazing. I love that bait. Not that bait. I've never used one like that that's so heavy, but I use that the silver buddy style bait around here a lot. But it's always a cold water bait. Like when that water temperature gets up, man, I could never get them to hit it.
You can slow roll this thing like a spinner bait or a swim bait and keep it close to the bottom, and it's just like long line in a crankbait, except you don't have to do any movement. You just sit still and cast it. Nice. It takes a lot of rod. That new rod I have in Fitzgerald, the 710 Buddies big bait rod, I promise you I had to change spools in my SVs because I throw all my line off. I have to stop it or it'd just keep going. I memean, it's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That's a big bait. BTC, we got to get some for this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll try slow rolling it through the grass beds out there on the flats.
I'll never make it there.
You're going to drag the grass back with you if you throw it in grass. I'm just going to be honest with you. You can probably do some dredging with it.
Yep. Yeah. We'll clear some holes in the grass if nothing else.
Exactly. That's a good idea, actually.
Riz, who talked to us? Who's here with us for Bass U TV?
We got a lot of people on the message board tonight. Really good interaction on the website and on Facebook. On the website, we got Sean Boyle, Andre Abernaz, Grant Herder, Chris Blank, Anthony Darren, Matt Lane, NJ Dale Jr., Angelo Sandone. We got Jimbo, Shane Kelly, Danny Villa, Mike P., Fat Guy Outdoors, Alex Rojas, Christopher Litz, Kyle Preston, and many, many more. There's a ton of people.
We've got a question from a YouTube watcher.
Hit us with it.
Yes, I believe it's from YouTube. Jason Morrison wants to know when do you throw topwater over brush?
I'm not a giant topwater guy, so I'm probably not that guy. I am. If I had the choice, I'd be throwing a swim bait. Now, I did do it a lot at Kentucky, but it was more over stumps and natural structure in the fall, October, November, and we had a really successful trip there. Y'all were talking about thrift earlier. He and I traveled together all last year, so I got to watch him do it over there, and I think it was 15 or 16. He had like a mega bag, like 25 or 28 pounds or something the first day of the Coastal Championship, and that's how it happened. And I was doing the same thing. I missed him a little bit. I caught like 15 or 16, and he wrecked them. So that would be the only time I would choose it over my swim bait.
Buddy, I got to ask you this because I took a note. I wanted to ask you this about what happens when you got a bite, because you seem to fight fish, and I couldn't figure it out.
I knew this was coming.
I told you it was coming, buddy.
Golly.
I'm watching you, and you got like what looks like a 9-pounder on. Turned out to probably be 7. I don't know what it was.
613.
You seem to lighten up on the fish and like point the rod toward the fish. I'm like, what is your strategy for keeping those fish pinned? Because I'm like, no, like you're going to lose that fish, you know? Obviously, you know what you're doing. What are you doing out there?
I'm scared to tell you this one. I need my competition to keep doing what they're doing. Now, I'm not going to tell you I'm right, and I'm telling you, everybody, there's going to be some haters on what I'm fixing to tell you, but this is the way I've done it, and it is self-taught. It's not learned. But when you're fishing deep and they're coming up, it's coming. I mean, you might as well figure, I don't care if it's on a crankbait, ledge hog, swim bait, jig, they're coming up. And I have learned that if I'm sitting sideways and I'm letting my rod fight it, and I'm sitting over here and I'm reeling like this, and I'm already twisted around, rod's bent, if that fish jumps and he's coming towards me, there's nowhere for me to go unless I run to the back of the boat like Thrift. I'm not built to run to the back of the boat. So I'm a big boy, and it takes a lot to get this weight moving. So I aim my rod at the fish, anticipating on it jumping left, right, straight up, straight towards me, and I can take every bit of that slack by moving my rod tip out of that fish, and I control the fish more than it controls me is my whole goal.
Wow. So when you feel that fish surging, going to break the surface, that's when you sweep to the side or up or to the side.
Yeah, and I can go left, right. I can do whatever I need to do if I'm facing it, aiming at it, but I can't do that if I'm back to my right and he's wanting to go to my right or my left. I'm out of room. There's nowhere else to pull the rod to. You're at that point, you're having to allow for the rods to absorb all the energy and not lose a hook. And I can tell you this, too, I'm having to rethink things a little bit because I fished a ton of team tournaments whenever I was really in my prime, I would say. And I could get them to the boat by skiing them on top as fast as possible and just put them in a net. Now I don't have that option. No nets, and I'm really bad with a net by myself. I was really good with a net man, but I'm not as good with that one. So I'm still learning, but I still believe in aiming the rod at them.
Wow.
I wish I knew that for day two. That was my problem day two, landing them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I seen guys, I watch guys on TV and they get away with it. I'm just telling you that I think I use stiffer rods than most guys, which means my rod's not doing as much to help me not lose the fish. But I want to control the fish more than it's controlling me. I don't want to play it and run around the boat. I want to get it to me and get it in the boat as fast as I can.
Well, it appeared to me, and I couldn't really tell, because once you pointed your rod at the fish, I couldn't see your hand. And I couldn't tell if you were reeling slower on purpose or faster. I couldn't see how you were doing that.
I would reel until the drag would start pulling. I mean, I reel them. I mean, I'm getting them to the boat. Now, I'm not telling you, it cost me the Classic last year by doing what you're asking me about, because I lost 2 giants in the Open at Chickamauga where I would have won that tournament before 8:30. I should have had like 28, 29 pounds. I still had a great bag, but I lost a 7 by boat flipping it on the front deck. It went right to the edge of the carpet and fell back in. Very next cast. I was so tore up over that when I lost a 6. I mean, I got out of shape on that deal. I usually don't get tore up. I was tore up. But, again, it's not always perfect, but it has worked for me for a long time to do that. But it is it is a learned deal. My fishing partners wind up after I talk to them a minute about it, and they see the advantage of it. They all have wound up doing it. So it's not terrible, I guess.
Well, it's not terrible. Called 27-11. I watched it happen, and came from nowhere. So, but it was that I'm so glad I got a chance to ask you that question, because I picked that off. I'm like, man, what is he doing? I got so scared for you. I'm like, you're going to kill this thing and blow it open. And, but I knew you had to have a strategy. You've been out doing this too long to not have a strategy.
Yeah, there have been a lot of questions about that since I've been getting televised. So you're not the first one, but we've not talked about it with this many followers or viewers, I guess I'm trying to say. But that's the deal.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I want to ask you this. Like, every time something like this happens to someone, maybe you learn something. What did you learn about offshore fishing or about yourself by winning this tournament?
The biggest thing is I've always been a spot guy. I like going to not just a spot, but if I have 5 good locations of offshore places, I'm good. But I fished more new water in this tournament than I ever have in my life, and that is hard for me to do. I'm the creature of habit who likes finding a place, setting up home, and throw at anybody that gets close. But on this deal, it was just about running new water is the only way I could do what I did. And it helps me from here on out, I can promise you I will run more no water than what I ever have before.
Wow. Well, that's a dangerous thing to have you confident in that realm.
Yeah, I mean it taught me a lesson for sure.
Awesome. Well, we're going to teach somebody a lesson right now because we have a Bash U battle about to take place. And
you guys ready for it? So,
yeah,
Buddy,
I think we are. I don't know if Buddy understood.
I'm going to tell him right now.
Okay.
So basically, Buddy, what we do on the show is it seems to either be me or Pete going against somebody. This time it's going to be you versus Pete. So I'm going to give you a scenario, and I'm going to pick whoever gives you the best answer.
Oh, no.
Okay? So you being the guest, you have the option of if you want to go first or you want to go second. So I'm going to read the question.
I'm deferring regardless.
Okay, well, I will say this: it's going to benefit you. It always does. Whoever it is. All right, you ready? All right.
No, I'm not ready. I know it's going to be a ledge question, and I haven't fished a ledge for like 5 years.
All right.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Bring it.
All right, here we go. I'm not even going to pick an actual lake. I'm just going to say you're on a TVA lake. Okay. Buddy, what's the side of your boat say on it?
Chickamauga.
Okay, just checking.
Fish Lake Chickamauga to be exact.
All right, you're on a TVA lake. It's the beginning of summer. The shallow bite seems to be fading. You located some good offshore schools. Day one of the tournament comes, and you run into the scenario: wind versus current. What do you do? So, Pete, you're first because I think Buddy deferred.
Oh man! All right. Offshore. We're fishing offshore. Shallow water is not an option, is what you're telling me.
The shallow water bite is fading fast, and you go out to your offshore schools, and right now you're faced with the wind versus current.
Okay, why? And for people listening, why I think that's a problem is because when that wind goes against the current, I've seen it slow that current down and make that bite challenging, more challenging. Because when the wind, when you have more current, they're a little bit easier to cooperate with, so I've got a more difficult, more of a challenging situation. So the power bite, I'm going to say the power bite is not going to be the way that I'm going to attack this problem. I'm going to be dealing with a big, a worm. I'm going to use a shaky head, or I'm going to use a Texas rig worm. I'm going to go that route because I feel like I'll be able to get a few more bites with fish that are a little bit lethargic. I'm going to use silent crankbaits. I'm going to use things that aren't going to be, along the lines of the big power tools. I'm going to put my swim baits down, and I'm going with a worm and a silent crankbait to dominate this tournament and beat the greatest ledge fisherman in the world. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that's what I'm going to try to do.
All right, Ledge Master, you're up.
So how much wind we talking?
Whatever exactly the current is, it's dead nuts, like dead perfect against it. Perfect scenario, but not.
Well, so the wind's blowing against the current.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to go down current from whatever I'm trying to fish. And if it's that time of year, there's going to be a big school of fish that I'm fishing. It's not small. I'm going to go downwind. I'm going to throw with the wind, and I'm going to make really long casts, and I'm going to catch 2 at a time on a crankbait more than likely as it comes through. And I'm hoping they're 4-pounders every cast. And if that don't work, I can throw my worm really far too. So I'm actually going to sit down current and throw with the wind on that one. If I was throwing at structure, because this happened to us, actually. It happened to us at Eufaula on the first day. I set into the wind and threw against the current. I don't know if you knew or if you did that or not, but I did. And I still caught them. And only time I ever got in trouble is when they would bite on the back side of the brush, and I had to bring them through it because they were sitting down current, but it only happened twice.
Wow. So you prioritize the wind direction over the current direction in that situation.
That's because I rely on my 360 so much, if you'll know the truth. I wanted to be able to see my target instead of looking behind it, trying to find it behind the motor, because, a 360 is so sensitive. When I'm sitting there looking at it, it's actually shooting 360 degrees is the way I run mine. I don't run mine shooting forward, and I can see the motor, the prop wash around the motor and all that stuff. So if it winds up being anywhere close to being behind me, I won't even be able to see for that one little small window, that pie.
Wow. All right, Greg. So how bad did I beat Buddy in this Bash U battle?
Oh, you both didn't say the answer I was looking for, so you both lose a point on that. But I'm just gonna go with Buddy because the confidence is just through the roof. So I know he knows what he's doing. You know,
This
Two at a time. I mean,
two at a time, dude. I mean, yeah, he's got it. So, like, Buddy, I got a question for you because this has worked for me, and I'm going to see if it's worked for you. Have you ever found the school, you can't get them to bite, and just drive on top of them, try to fire them up? Have you ever tried that?
I'm gonna tell you, when I fished at home all the time, and schools of fish were getting really, really, really hard to catch, we would actually get on top of those fish and actually do donuts just to stir everything up. I'm not talking about idling. I'm talking about rip roaring donuts, back up, throw in there, and wreck them.
I did day 2 of the tournament because I couldn't get them to bite, and I caught a few that way.
It's a very good, very sneaky, and it's also a high risk trick. But if it works really well.
Yeah.
One of the best places on Chickamauga now is changed. It's the first place they show up. It's the largest school on the lake most times, and it's a school that gets driven over by every party boat on the weekends. It is the best place to fish when the party boats start moving, for a fact.
Wow.
What's happening under the water? Why is it stunning bait fish that create the feeding frenzy, or
You'll see the prop wash go almost all the way to the bottom, and I don't know if it's the oxygen or if it is actually just the disturbance and making the food supply move around more, but it seems to just stir everything up and it makes them feed.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. I have tried it. I've had marginal success doing it, but it's interesting. I know that's how you spend most of your time. It's really interesting to hear you describe it.
I want to try to catch them without doing that, though. I really do.
We got a guy in South Jersey here who fishes the Thursday nighters, and his main technique is to prop wash with the trolling motor the cover before he fishes it, but he don't catch them pretty much ever.
It does work in South Jersey, though.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Who is that?
Shout out to Louis D. Never give up, Lou.
Buddy, what setting do you have your 360 on, like for the speed of the I can't think of the name.
The ping speed. It's the rotation speed. Yeah, I got it on 4.
Okay.
I was running it on 5, but I backed it back down to 4 and just trying to get my picture to be a little cleaner.
Now, do you adjust that according to how deep you're fishing or how shallow you're fishing? Do you want it one way or the other?
Yeah, I have to adjust a lot of stuff depending on water clarity. Like if you got down around Patala Creek on the system this past week at Eufaula, it had a little more stain to it. So I'd have to adjust contrast and some other things, sensitivity every now and then, just to get the picture I'm looking for.
What's your general rule? Clearer more sensitivity or clearer less sensitivity?
I tend to use contrast to get it a clean picture, but if you go too high on contrast, it gets real grainy. I don't want the grainy look. I get it just right before it gets grainy, and then I turn the sensitivity up to the point where it don't wash anything out.
Okay. I got another question coming straight from Risby Fishing, and this is for both Buddy and Greg. What are you guys doing to prevent when you put your foot on the trolling motor? Like, you know how when your trolling motor's running, it'll kind of jog up the picture a little bit between like the bars. Is there any kind of workarounds for that to prevent that from happening, like the interference when you touch your trolling motor?
Turn the noise level down. There's a noise filter on there.
Okay.
Turn the noise filter down. I run into that.
In the settings in the unit.
Yes, sir. And it's not under 360 settings. It's going to be under sonar settings, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Look at him taking notes.
That's the truth. I mean,
he's writing it down, buddy.
I mean, Riz, there could be other issues you're having too if you're having some kind of interference too. I mean,
the only other one that I've seen though was the fuse inside the head could be blown, and that's the ground. But we changed heads on mine here a while back. The computer inside, I had a little issue in my trolling motor, and mine changed everything. Every time I hit it, it fuzzed up, and that's the only thing that fixed mine.
I mean, I can still read it. It goes from being nice and crispy to having like almost a little bit pixelated for like the time that I'm on the trolling motor. And if I take my foot off, it goes right back to crispy.
Yeah, mine was doing it. If I put it on spot lock the whole time I had on spot lock, as long as the prop was turning, whether it's high speed or low speed, it still did the same thing you're talking about. But that did fix mine. I would start there and check the fuse.
Cool.
Outstanding, man. I tell you what, we've all learned so much.
Yes.
We've learned that the Bash U battle was purposefully staged so that I could never win.
That's hard, Pete.
If it involved a spinning rod, y'all would have won. You'd have won for sure, bro.
That was a shout at the North right there.
Should have
I
tried
bought 4. I've got 4 spinning rods now, so look out, guys.
it. Have you been up north much over the years?
I've been up there enough to know I got my butt kicked until last year, so I'm trying to redeem myself this year.
Well, I'm sure you will. We'll be watching. And, man, I really appreciate you coming in, taking the time. We've learned so much. I mean, really some great stuff. And,
Yeah,
and it was an amazing, amazing win. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys having me, and I hope I get to come back.
Absolutely.
Man, we'd love to have you back. We'll have you back for sure. And we'll catch up with you real soon. We'll be watching you out on tour. Buddy Gross, the champ, Bassmaster Elite Series.
Hammer.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. Have a great one.
See ya.
My takeaway right now, BTC
Yes.
and DDP is idling on the top of the bar and
Yep.
looking out into the river channel. What a simple but monster tip for guys trying to learn offshore habitat.
I can't wait to listen back.
There was a lot in there.
to that segment.
There was a lot. There was a lot of good stuff in
You
there.
know, to have a guy on that's running the same kind of electronics that we are, it's like, I can't wait to go back and listen to that
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
He
And I
gave me
can't tell you
multiple
how
social
frustrating-
media posts in that segment.
A lot of juice.
I can't tell you how frustrating it is, and Greg, you just experienced it. Maybe I don't know, but I've been on Chickamauga. I've been down in those places when those and Douglas when you can see the fish, and you know that it's happening, and you can't fire them. You can't get them going. And some of those techniques, that giant silver buddy, what an amazing weapon! I had no idea that thing could get them in the warm water.
How
season.
heavy did you say that was?
It's like 3 ounces.
They're heavy, yeah. I mean, they're literally heavy in your hand. I've never used them, but I've picked them up before. There's a small tackle store on Douglas called Bass and Bucks. They sell them. That's the first place I ever saw them at.
Wow.
Yep.
Yep. Neat. Hey, that was great. So I really appreciate him sharing that with us. And JK, if you're watching, man, we got to get Buddy in the Bass University teaching program.
I agree with that.
You know what the best part was? So day one of this tournament, before we took off, I pulled in the morning into a dock and I sat right next to Buddy. And me and Buddy were talking. He goes, "How was your practices?" Practice is pretty good. I said, "What about yours?" He says, "Man, it was a tough one." And then he said on the interview just now, during the tournament, he basically went and re-practiced and he caught them all.
How about
Just finding new water. That's pretty, dude. That's
fish in
hard
the
to
moment.
do, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so unbelievably hard to do. But man, it seems like every time a winner wins,
I know.
that's the way it happens, man.
I know.
It's so rare for that to develop during practice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, you get the clue during practice, and
Yep.
and it's hard. You go into those tournaments and you feel defeated. Like I had a crummy practice, and then you wind up, striking
Yeah.
gold.
Yep.
Well,
But
Pete, we have Joe Lee, champ. We got Joe Lee in the queue. Rich has got something he wants to mention right here. After that, I'm going to play a quick 1-minute Gerald Swindle piece, and then we're coming back with Joe Lee. Kick it,
with
Rich.
another amazing champ, 2-time Bassmaster Classic champ.
show.
Amazing champion. Guys, we have a special offer for our Bashu TV live watchers right now, and that is for 20% off a Cashin fishing rod until Monday. And the code for that is
Bass U Dad Day.
Bass U Dad Day. Bass U Dad Day. We will post that on social so that you can see it, and I will post it in the message board.
All lowercase letters, Bass U Dad Day.
Bass U Dad Day, and that's going to get you 20% off a Cashin rod from the Cashin Fishing Rods website. And if you haven't picked up a Cashin rod yet, you seriously need to try them. They're a very well-built, American-made, unique fishing rod, and unique in the sense that they are both fiberglass and graphite mixed. They're a composite material rod. They've made a huge difference for me in my fishing in the last couple of years. I've really found a couple of models that they make that work well across the board for me, and it simplifies things. So I strongly encourage anybody watching this to check out Cashin Fishing Rods. They're extremely well-built rods, and they just flat out get it done. So use that code, save yourself 20%, and join the Cashin family.
My two favorite casting rods is a John Crew 711 crankbait rod, deep cranking rods. Being we're talking about offshore fishing, it is an amazing tool. And check out the Bass University rods. We have two all-purpose rods, a bait caster and a spinning rod that can get you through most any situation. And they're all available over on cashingrods.com. So check it out.
Be right back.
Be right back. 1 minute. We'll be back with Jordan Lee. We're going to be talking about offshore fishing in the summertime pattern in Florida, grass lakes, and again, brush piles. Like,
yep.
You know they had brush piles in the Kissimmee chain.
Jordan,
what the hell's going on? We'll be back. We'll be talking with Jordan Lee right after this.
Gerald Swindle, Bass UTV. I'm telling you right now, if you ain't watching it, you're like trying to put 3 pair of socks on 1 foot, man. You got to get part of it. You got to get on here and learn. If you got any doubt about flipping, pitching, we got it on Bass UTV. We got Bobby Lane. We got everybody you can imagine doing what they're the best at. You want to learn how to flip? Check out Hackney, huh? Don't get no slower than that. We got it all. BUTV offers A to Z bass fishing from beginner to the highest level. We have it on BUTV. Check it out online. Enjoy the laughs, but really enjoy the outdoors and fish. That's all we're asking. We want you to fish and we want you to watch BUTV.
Action.
Everybody, welcome back to Bass University Live. What a great piece of talking with Buddy Gross. And you want to learn how to fish offshore, ledges, brush piles, that kind of stuff. Man, if you missed it, go back and watch it. Of course, it's going to be here over on BassU.TV. And we have a phenom amongst us, a savant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a good friend of the Bass University, and he's been with us for a few years, and we appreciate it. And it's just been so awesome to watch your success and just come off of another monster win. The champ, the great Jordan Lee. Good to have you with us, buddy.
Hey, great to be here, Pete. Good seeing you, man. Hope all is well. Same goes to you, Brian.
Yeah, man.
Everybody else.
Hell yeah. Good to see you, bro.
You look good, Brian.
See what?
You look good, Brian.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
You look fit.
Never give up.
Never give up. You look fit. If you don't know what to say, just say never give up.
That's
you're
it,
Well, man, it was good. It's good to see you. It was a great win and tremendous. By the way, I'm going to get out fishing. I've been cooped up for so long. I haven't been able to fish, and I'm going to be fishing this weekend in the Ike Foundation Derby for the first time. Geez, in like 3 or 4 months.
On the bay, I heard you're going to get whooped up on.
That's right.
Well, it's going to be hard. Riz is the focus, man. Riz in house. He keeps winning down there on the Chesapeake, so he's the guy to shoot for right now. Our own Risby Fishing.
Yes, like I said,
it sounds like it's been taking some big sacks.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those places right now, and usually is like if you don't have 20, don't even get your hopes up.
Come in. Don't even mess with it. Just throw them back.
Yeah, let them swim. You know.
Yep.
Let them swim.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. How was it for you? I mean, you guys been off for what, 8 weeks? How's it feel getting back to business?
Man, it really just felt good just to be back on the lake and feel like you're back in competition mode. Everything's starting around here, just kind of kicked back up. But yeah, I mean, it felt great. I mean, honestly, just getting out there and practicing and just fishing. And I think for everybody, the elite guys and us and whoever started back this past weekend, just felt good to be on the water, really.
I bet. I know, it's going to feel good for me. I'm looking forward to making a few casts. I hope I don't backlash too bad.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I know I
Rust.
felt like I did. I was a little rusty, but I've been fishing a little bit. I mean, I couldn't stay cooped up totally, but no real big tournaments or nothing. But I fished a lot this spring, April and May.
You didn't look rusty this past week.
Honestly, I didn't feel it. I mean, I felt great. I felt great all week. I mean, normally, I don't know, man. I got dialed in pretty early, actually in practice in our 2 days of practice. But I mean, I just felt good all week, and I don't know. There's something kind of with that place, I guess. But yeah, it did. I felt. I mean, it just felt back as usual, and it was just good to be out there too.
I'm sure. I noticed this about you, man, from when we had you on the couch on the Ike Live show, and you're unflappable, man. It seems like, everybody else is frantic, running 100 miles an hour, trying to catch something, and you're just cool as the other side of the pillow, and just, you make it look easy. How do you do that? How do you explain that? Being so cool.
It's tough to explain. I think it's just my personality, man. I mean, it's just kind of how I am. I'm just a laid back dude. I mean, I don't get I try not to, especially in fishing, I try not to get really too high and too low. Like if I'm really catching them good in a tournament, I don't want to be on my high horse and get too excited and feel like that I just won a tournament. And when I'm at the bottom of the pack, I don't want to get too low. I want to still stay optimistic, for the rest of the tournament, or even if I have a bad tournament, I don't want to just be down in the dumps either, because it happens. So I just like that happy medium. And if I lose a fish, man, I kind of take that approach. And it's really just my personality, I guess. I'm just a laid back guy. I mean, and it's just kind of how I approach fishing over my whole career, really, and it just seems to work out for me. Just, I see guys, not to mention any names, of course, spin, so spin out, and we know who you are. I can tell it. No, I'm kidding, but no, seriously. I mean, it can happen, and it's easy to do. I mean, especially when you really need that fish, because you need every one of them. And when one of them comes off, and it can really affect your day. But for me, I just try to just keep in it, man, and it usually helps you more than it hurts you.
Man, I like that attitude, because I can't spin out. If I spin out, it really hurts and takes away from my fishing. So I've got to try to stay even keeled, like you.
Yeah. You see those guys. I mean, I've seen guys, just fishing the last 6-7 years, and the guys who are just laser focused and, don't really let anything bother them. I mean, it just seems like, those anglers just really, I've always heard Kevin always talk about it's all about the attitude. That's what he always says. That's his little saying, and he keeps a pretty level head, good and bad, during the good and bad. So it's worked out for him. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you got to find out what you are as an angler. Like, I know, you're busting Mike's chops a little bit, but he uses it.
It works for him. It does. I mean, look at his career. Mm-hmm. Look how many events he's won. He's won boatloads of tournaments. That's him, and that's his personality too. It kind of translates. And he really, he's a passionate angler, and it works for him. I mean, he's one of the best to ever do it, So
I'm personality-wise, I'm a lot like Mike, just minus the wins.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
GDP, let me hear you weigh in on this. Do Do you smash your sonar units when you break off a big one? Or are you level-headed and cool as a cucumber? What do you do?
No, I mean, I'm pretty level-headed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if I lose a fish, I get upset. I mean, who doesn't? But no, I don't break nothing or go that route. Trust me, it doesn't do me no good.
Yep. Well, we see Jordan do it, and it was amazing. I love watching how cool you are. When the pressure is intense, it's a pressure. Well, it's not that much pressure when you're 20 pounds in the lead. Let's be honest. But most times there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. When you got Brian Thrift at your heels, there's always pressure. I promise. I just don't show it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But I want to dive in Bass University and talk about. I've been fishing the Kissimmee chain for a long time. I didn't know there was brush piles in the Kissimmee chain. When did that happen?
I honestly, I didn't either. I did do a little research, just basic stuff, internet, and there was a couple videos that popped up. Some guys mentioned brush. I had no clue. They'd fish some or, something like that, like just on YouTube. Just trying to, I do that from time to time, get on the internet, use your resources, especially when you hadn't been to a lake. Like you said, I had no clue, but, we're always there January, February. And like anywhere in the country, you think summertime, in the south, I'll say anywhere in the country, the southeast, fish want to be off the bank most of the time. I mean, it's hot. They want to be off the bank. So I kind of did some research. I knew there was a chance there was brush piles, but to find them, that was going to be the big question, because Toho, you've been to Toho, you've been to Kissimmee.
It's all grass.
It's grass, but it's flat. There's nothing out there. There's no contour. There's no changes. There's nothing that says go right here and fish, go right here and graph, like it would be on a ledge lake or a Gunnersville where you got a ledge you can just idle down. Like, there's none of that. It's just complete flat. That was the big question, because it's like a needle in a haystack.
I can only imagine. Well, see, I was thinking the grass would inhibit the view, like it would block your being able to see the brush. But I guess this brush, they were putting it out in the open water.
That's correct. That's where I found it. And grass was really my main, thinking offshore grass, that was going to be a big key. And I mean, if I found something else, great. But I mean, that was what I was really thinking. I mean, brush was kind of the back of my mind, but I didn't think I could find any. And I didn't really expect to. But the brush piles I did find, they were out in the open, no grass anywhere in sight, anywhere close, nothing around, vacant, just a brush pile. That's what I found and eventually fished in the tournament.
Yep. Well, was it obvious, like when you found it? I mean, did you throw in there at practice, and did they?
Yeah. So so we get 2 days, to practice. The first day, I didn't really do any of that. The second day, I noticed. I mean, there was a lot of anglers fishing those grass beds. They were pretty obvious when you would ride the lake. You would see your graph jump up. There's big grass there. You stop, you idle around, you can find the points, all that. There was a lot of anglers doing that. So I started graphing out just randomly, honestly. Like, I mean, there wasn't any contour change. But probably in the first hour I started graphing, I did find a brush pile. It looked like a brush pile. And I just threw a rattle trap, honestly, just to see what it was, see if I could hang it, or just feel what it was. And I hooked one, and it got me hung up in the brush, and I could tell it was a brush pile. And I got it out, and it came to the boat, and there was one about 7 pounds with it, trying to eat the bait out of his mouth. So I'm like, that's interesting. I pick up a big power worm and throw it in there. Didn't even hit bottom, honestly. Like, I mean, it was like, just boom. And I was like, okay, I just shook it off and kept searching. And I eventually started running into some brush piles in this one like kind of area, and I didn't really fish them. I didn't want to make it obvious, because you're out in the middle of the lake and there's nothing else around. So I just kind of marked them and just kept looking, and that's how I really found them in practice, was just idling for 5-6 hours that second day.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You found them in the same area. It's probably the same guy that put them all down. You might have to go send him a thank you package.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what was cool was, I had my Lowrance. I had it set on like 80 to 100 foot, and it was only 5 or 6 foot of water, just completely flat. I bump it up to 100 at times, but I feel like their side scan is just, and I'm sure other brands are too, but I hadn't looked at them, but it was so clear. I mean, I could shoot at 100 foot and see, if I would see a big shadow, I've just known from fishing lakes with brush that, that's going to be probably a brush pile. And, I'd mark it and, ride past it one more time just to kind of look at it and hit a couple waypoints on it and just keep searching. But, it's amazing, just zigzagging. That's kind of what I did. I just really zigzagged Toho and just everywhere out there. And it seemed like one general area had a lot of that brush in it.
It looked like you were fishing by yourself. Was that the case, or during the competition, did you see other guys?
Yeah, it was one of them just beautiful deals. I mean, there wasn't another angler out there fishing that stuff. I seen one other angler, pull up. It's kind of funny that out there in the middle there was these buoys. There's just one buoy out there in the middle of Toho, and it was actually a fish indicator, like it was brush that they put out, but it was around this buoy. And I did see an angler fish that, but a lot of this brush I was fishing was literally just completely random. Guys put out, and it just happened that nobody found it, and it was holding. I mean, it was holding big ones, and it was holding numbers, and it was just one of them magical deals, really.
DDP, after this tournament, you and I are going to start planting some brush down on the Chesapeake.
I got about
I would. I've never sank a brush pile in my life. It is a lot of work. Actually, I take that back. I've sank some, but I don't like to, because you don't know which ones are going to produce. But I will say this: what I learned this past week, and I've learned fishing brush, is when you got a bunch. Like there was this one spot; it had 10 brush piles around it, and I never got a bite off of it. But if there was a brush pile just by itself, I'm talking about, it could just be, I mean, it could literally, not be the front deck of the boat, just one brush pile, and there would be gobs of fish around it. So it's something to it, that isolated brush.
Well, I've got a lot of questions for you, but I want to give the floor to Bass University subscribers. Riz, I know you got some questions in the queue. They want to ask a few questions of Jordan Lee, so you go ahead and fire.
Sure thing, Pete. Joe Venuto on the message board wants to know, what are some of the differences that you look for, Jordan, when you're targeting those bigger bass?
When you're targeting big ones, like, a big fish, what's crazy is I've caught them on any bait. It's really all situational. And, you could throw the biggest bait you have in your boat and catch a 2-pound fish. You could throw a 10-inch worm and catch a 2-pound fish. You could throw a drop shot and catch a 9-10-pound fish. So it's really situational. But when I'm, as far as bait go, your bait choice. But when you're targeting big fish, like if I was just going to say, I'm going to go out and try to target some big fish today. I'm going to fish, like isolated cover. I feel like that's the best way. An isolated dock, isolated brush pile, stuff like that. Seems like they just, those big ones just like getting around that kind of stuff.
We learned at just before you came on about the shell crackers were spawning around the brush, which was probably making that brush the better choices, in that 6 to 10 foot zone, right? Look, even Jordan Lee's like, what? That was a pretty.
So how did he know? How did he know the shell cracker were spawning? Did he say
they could see the beds on the
side imaging?
Yep, on 360. So that was a big key to his win. What do you think were they using that brush? Because I know that chain of lakes is a big shad. They have shad lake, throughout those lakes. I'm imagining the shad was in the open water. Is that why all those fish were on the brush?
Honestly, I think it just being just blistering hot. I think on those lakes, there's nothing out there in the middle. There is literally nothing there. I mean, out there in the middle of those lakes, like Toho, Kissimmee, when you're dead in the middle of that lake, there's no grass. I mean, if it is, it's like that tall. So there's nothing for them to get around. And the bait, I'm sure, is out. I mean, it's out there. I didn't visually see like shad coming up or anything, but I would see like those needlefish and stuff. But you'd have to just think. I mean, those fish, some of them were just butterballs. That there's a bunch of shad out there, and just getting out there in the middle, and there's just something out there. It's really a unique deal. Like, I mean, it's just nothing. It's just void out there. So you put a tree. I mean, something's going to get around it, and the shad, the bass, bluegill, everything. I'm sure. So. Yep. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and a couple big giant fish.
Yeah, the great and powerful Ken Duke just messaged in, and he says,
Ken Duke.
Yeah, he says it's illegal to plant brush in Florida without a permit, which is basically impossible to get. Lots of guys do it though, and they draw shiners to the brush by sinking mesh bags of dog food on the brush piles.
Wow.
I did know it was illegal to sink brush. Down there, somebody said that. I mentioned that. Ken's full of information. I'm glad he's on here. He could do this interview better than I could.
He could do everything better than most people. He's awesome.
He is awesome. I love Ken.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
He just put it out there.
Yep.
Illegal to brush. Here in Alabama, in the great state of Alabama, you can sink as much as you want to.
I know. I've seen the pontoon boats that are all stripped down. They're all beat up, and they're dedicated for brush dropping. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen those boats, and that's a great point, Ken. I've seen them do the dog food. The shiner fishermen have been doing that for a million years. They have the shiner stakes, and they throw out the food, and they leave and come back, and then they net their shiners. That's how they've been catching them down there
forever. How about
that? The brush pile. That's a new thing to me. It's interesting that they're not allowed to do it, and they're doing it. Imagine that.
Imagine that. When you can win some tournaments doing it, you'll take the chances.
Florida has more rules for the environment than they do the people, I believe.
Right.
You ever notice that?
You ain't kidding.
They're very strict with the environment, but the people do whatever.
Beaches are open, restaurants open. Just go
try to control people.
You probably do 2 years for sinking brush and dealing drugs. You get a week.
Yeah, that's right. You get to be mayor.
Yeah, take it easy. We're gonna get contacted. I know.
Oh, whoops.
Hey, Riz, I want to open the floor to the Bass U subscribers. What do you got?
Adam Luand, Jordan, wants to know, how did you feel when you realized you didn't get big bass?
Oh,
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
you got beat by an ounce on that.
Beat by an ounce. Yeah, catching a 814. I mean, you never know in Florida, but it held up most of the day. We know what other anglers have, and I mean, it stung. I mean, that was a bummer. I mean, 50 grand by an ounce. I mean, that hurts. I mean, that hurts. Anybody's. I mean, that'll take a man down. So that was kind of brutal there for a little bit. When he just told me like, "I'm sorry, but I just got to tell you this." And I only had 20 minutes in the day, but if I was ever going to break a rod in a tournament or ever going to punch a glass, punch a unit, that was the moment. That was, cuss out a dog. That was going to be the moment. And I was that close. I was honest, it was that close, but I held back. So I was pretty distraught. I mean, honestly.
Well, it was so close on the last day. Boy, Thrift almost got you again. I mean, at least it looked like it. Like he caught that 611, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to happen again. Because it looked huge. And
there wouldn't be anybody that felt sorry for me except myself. Especially any of the anglers, they were wanting to. They're definitely. And Mark Rose, the final day, I kind of went back. I don't ever get to watch any of the footage, but he looked like he lost a really big fish that last day in the hydrilla. It was coming to him, but man, that's a brutal day to lose a big one in that tournament, really, or to get beat out. I mean, that's not the tournament you want to do it, but.
It was fascinating, and I love. This is really cool about the MLF. I think I watched Mark Rose go in after one. He had that one locked up, and I don't know if you saw the footage.
I did.
Yeah, it was bogged up in the hydrilla. He went in, man.
Yeah, he may, but I don't know. He could have been fishing some brush or hydrilla. I don't know, but he definitely got hung up. And I mean, when there's 100,000 on the line, and you may think there's a big one on the end. I mean, I've never done that before. I've never jumped in, but and actually dove down and try to get a fish out of something. But your heart, it's got to be beaten. It's got to be. I mean, you don't know what you're going. You're going in the Florida waters,
right?
You got gators. You got everything down there. What? Freaking snapping turtles, probably. I don't know. I mean, you're going in the jungle. But hey, hats off to him. He had. I mean, you gotta have something to do that.
Yep. He did look like he was being chased by a snapping turtle when he was trying to get out.
Yeah, no doubt. I would be too. I'd be getting that back in that boat as fast as I could after diving down in a brush pile or whatever he was diving into.
Jeez.
Right?
Awesome.
Right. All the bass are there. All the bait fish are there. The gators got to be there too. Everything's there. That's nuts.
I know. I'm saying, but if he would have got that fish and it'd have been 7, 8 pounds. I mean, or regardless, it'd be worth it, I guess. But even if you get your big toe bit off,
Jubs.
I'd trade a big toe for a 10. At
I would
point.
too.
Yeah,
I would too.
A 10-pounder in a tournament. I'm looking at my fingernails right now. I could probably nub one of these back a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Like a pinky toe, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, a pinky toe. That pinky toe might just give up just for like a 5 or a 6, but.
But if you don't know, if you have no clue, like he didn't know. I mean,
yeah,
but that pinky toe keeps you from going over sideways, dude.
Yeah,
you don't know, but that little thing, that's that flapper that keeps you from rolling over sideways. You just be standing there, try to lean up on something.
Yeah,
no pinky toe.
Yeah.
Toe universe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'm going in after that fish, but I think it's cool that you can in the MLF. I think that's pretty neat, man. You got to take a penalty, but you can leave the boat and go get it, man. I think that's a pretty neat rule.
Hey, speaking of that, in the this weekend's event, the Ike Foundation, are we allowed to leave the boat to go get a frosty beverage at the Naughty Goose?
I don't see why not.
All right.
Definitely.
rules?
There's probably no rules, and I'd say go for it.
I would too. Mike could probably give it to you.
Yeah. Well, if we're not competing by 11 o'clock, we're bellying up. 12 o'clock.
11 o'clock. I thought you're a 12 o'clock guy.
12 o'clock,
You're
12
moving it up to 11 o'clock.
No, we'll go 12. We'll go 12. If the writing's
That's
on the
when
wall,
the tide's gonna turn, man. That tide's gonna be turning right around that time.
if the writing's
Might not
on the
wanna
wall,
leave.
Dave's sitting down telling stories, we're going to the bar.
I love it. Well, we got another good question on the board here for you, Jordan, and it's from our very own Stefan Walden. What's going on, Stefan? Hope you're doing well down there. And he wants to know, how did being a college angler help you on the media side of fishing, and if it did, how did it help?
I mean, I honestly, when I was in college, and you know, when Matt and I and Shane Powell, my partner, and when we were doing well, and we were getting some TV coverage and stuff like that, I think, for my first couple of years, I felt like probably a little bit more at ease when you have a camera in your boat, or, just simple things. But I think over time, honestly, I think it's really just been just time doing it and being a professional angler. And I feel like the more you do it, about like anything, the more you do it, the more you get better with it. You get better with the speaking and stuff like that. Because when I think I got a C in public speaking when I was in college. So I mean, it wasn't like I was a great public speaker. But I just think just the time, doing it, that it really helped more than being just a college angler. I think more time doing it just helped.
No doubt that the more reps you get, the better you get. And we love the work that you do at Bash University. Some great seminars, and you want to go over to bashu.tv, check them out. You can see the work that Jordan has done with us at Bash University, and certainly going to learn a lot, guys. Just want to mention the Father's Day special is going on right now.
That's right.
We've got a great Father's Day gift pack full of Bash U swag and crankbaits for your dad or for yourself. If you're a dad, ask for it. It's a great present. Get yourself an annual subscription to Bash U TV, or come over and try it for 30 days free over at bashu.tv. Riz, I want to keep going to the Bash U people. What else do you have for Jordan? Have we lost Riz?
Yeah, I got a funny comment on the board actually, and I got a good idea who it's from. It's not anything to do with Jordan, but it's just worth mentioning. Riz's floating boat seats wants to know, Jordan, how can Riz secure his boat seats so that his co-angler doesn't feel like he's going to fall out of the boat?
Just let him go. Just tell him to hold on. He's got the handles. He'll be fine.
That's right.
Jordan, you know what? We are on the same page, man.
That's right.
Whichever
Just
one
let
of you
him
guys
roll.
that
He'll-
was, listen to Jordan.
If the seats were bolted down, you wouldn't need him there to sit on them and hold them down.
That's
He'll figure it
exactly
out.
right.
He'll figure it out.
On a more serious note, Shane Kelly wants to know, Jordan, what's your go-to jig color?
Go-to jig color, brown. Just straight brown. Just a brown jig. Maybe a little orange or something in there. Brown, green pumpkin, anything like that. I mean, down here it's hard to beat. Just brown or a green pumpkin style jig. Nothing crazy.
I saw you're going to the Gerald Swindle School of Jig Fishing with that.
That's what I
think. I saw you do something unusual in this tournament, and you picked up a hair jig in Florida and caught a giant.
What?
I did.
Was that wasn't the 814, right?
It was the last day. It was a 7-4, important 7-4. That was for the big bass of the day. I mean, that was what won it, and it was on a hair jig. yeah, it's definitely unusual. You know, I was fishing this one spot, and you know, man, I'd been fishing it pretty hard for 4 days. It was kind of my best spot, and I caught a 6 something on a swim bait, couple 4s, all different baits. You know, big power worm, and you know, jumped off a 5 on a Carolina rig, and I'm like, you know, and I couldn't really get multiple bites, you know, going. I mean, I couldn't just catch fish on one bait. It seemed like I had to switch, and then I'd get a bite. I don't know why that was. If they were just kind of getting used to it, I don't know. But it was like that throughout the week. Cranking, I could catch a couple on that spot. So I was just like, man, I'm out of options. I you know, I had 4 fish, 3 or 4 fish, and I'm like, you know, I had a hair jig tied on. Just I hadn't caught a fish on it all week, and I hadn't really thrown it a lot, but it was just so shallow, you know, 5-6 foot. You don't think about throwing a hair jig, but this spot had big fish on it. So I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to heave it out there, and I'm confident in that bait. You know, I've thrown it a lot around here, and yeah, that 7-4 bit it. I mean, it was kind of a lucky bite, I would say, since it's the only one I caught on it all week, and it's not like they were eating it real good. But that's what got the big one, you know, for me that final day.
Well, that's a $50,000 fish, right?
100.
Wow.
$100,000 hair jig fish.
Wow.
And I was throwing it on 12-pound line, which was kind of nerve wracking, but you know, 100%. I throw that Berkeley 100% fluorocarbon, and there's a lot of great lines out there. There's no doubt. I mean, everybody makes a good fluorocarbon now, but gosh, man, I mean, it's just strong. It is strong fluorocarbon. Even the light stuff like that 12-pound line, and I like that lighter line on something like a hair jig because, you know, you throw 17, 20, it doesn't get that same fall. It doesn't get that same action. Even, I mean, it sounds crazy, but you know, that even a little bit bigger line, that bait just doesn't fall, and I just got that confidence in that 12, and that's what I was throwing on it. But yeah, it was definitely an important bite, an important fish to land that last day.
That was just amazing.
So.
How heavy of a
Really
hair jig?
cool.
It was 5/8. Just a friend of mine around here ties them up, and he tied me up some, probably a month back just to have. He just makes them in his garage, really, and it's got a big feather on it.
She picking it up off the bottom?
No, so that hair jig. So how you really work a hair jig is, you know, you burn it really fast and get it up off the bottom, kind of get it up towards the surface, and then just kill it, and it'll just pendulum back, and you just do it kind of on a tight line, and it'll just fall down to the bottom. As soon as I feel that bait hit the bottom, I'm burning it up again and just letting it just kind of fall back like that. And you know, they always hit it on the fall. You know, it's never when you're burning it. It's always that fall down is when they thump it, and that's kind of how you work a hair jig.
Jordan, forgive me if you said this already, but what color was it? The hair jig?
It was just a white hair jig. Yeah, white.
White.
White. I have to say, yeah, okay. White. I mean, that's how I say white.
That's right.
White. It's a flying chicken, is what it looks like.
It's a powerful bait. It's a powerful bait. A white hair jig.
About it.
And
I saw some stuff about a Ned rig.
Nico.
a
Nico rig.
I honestly threw like every bait in my boat. I mean, I literally threw everything. I threw, I got a couple worms right here, and I would just rotate. This is a Berkeley kingtail worm. It's just an 8-inch ribbon tail, and all honesty, I mean, completely serious, no sponsor plugs. It is a sponsor of mine, but this is a Max scent worm. honestly, before I was sponsored with Berkeley, I didn't think scent was a big deal. But after fishing a place for 4 days and you're throwing and throwing, you're throwing all these different baits and you honestly don't catch a fish, and they're there. I would pick up that max scent worm and I honestly could get bit on my just very first throw. I mean, it happened multiple times. It was crazy. I mean, the guys with me, got to see it, but it was just wild. But I mixed up so many baits, Texas rigs. I put on a Nico rig just to throw something new and could catch fish on it, just showing them something different. I mean, I think that's anytime you're fishing just specific places and just changing up baits regularly, especially if you feel like the fish are there. I mean, that's honestly how I won the tournament, was just changing baits a lot.
Well, one of the things that was going on that week, and all the other guys were doing well on, was the current, right? The current seemed to, and I kind of looked at it. I've seen current on those lakes before, and it seems like if there's current, it's always the current that wins on those lakes. But you didn't even mess with current.
Honestly, we had like a tropical storm come through, and I in the back 2 days of practice, it's just hard to, I don't know. It was in the back of my mind after the second day. I was thinking, man, I went into this creek and I couldn't really get into it. I mean, current was just blowing out of it. And I'm like, and it was the end of practice. I'm like, yep, somebody's going to catch them doing this. So honestly, if I would have found that earlier in the week, I probably would have not gone out and looked for the brush, because it is like you said, those Florida fish aren't used to that current, and so on lakes that don't have a lot of current and all of a sudden you get a lot of rain, you get current, those fish really get on it. And like you said, a lot of guys targeted that and did really well.
Yeah, it really seemed like that was going to be the way that it was going to be won, but you certainly showed otherwise. I got a question from James over on Facebook, and this is an interesting question. I thought, what are you working on right now? Where's your weak game? Like what technique or what thing are you trying to improve in your fishing right now?
Man, I mean, technique wise, it's hard to say. I mean, honestly, growing up around here, and you can just do so much. Honestly, I feel like now to be a professional angler and to compete, it just seems like you got to figure out. It's not like it used to be where, you can just put a flipping stick in your hand and just go. I mean, some guys do, and but it's hard. And I think just trying to learn, like this week, I mean, it's been a long time since I've just fished brush in a tournament. And I felt like I learned a lot throughout the week. Every tournament, I don't consider myself a great brush pile fisherman because I don't do it a lot. But, I learned a lot throughout the tournament, and, just trying to learn every tournament and, get better at stuff like that. Not be, I wouldn't say the word scared, but just, just be open-minded. And I feel like that as a tournament angler, that's what I'm trying to get better at, is not going to a tournament like Chickamauga next week and not saying, I'm just going to go ledge fish. I think that it's not really a technique, but getting better at just having an open mind in a tournament scenario. I think that's the biggest key to a lot of guys' success, is just having that open mind. And it's hard to do, but, there's a lot of great anglers that have, Iaconelli, for, just off the top of my head, he has such an open mind when he goes to a tournament, and he doesn't rule it out. And that's important. And that's the thing I try to get better at every tournament.
That's great advice. Keep an open mind, fish the moment, like Mike says, fish the conditions. A lot of guys say it all means the same
That's
stuff.
what Buddy Gross did. He went practicing, and it presented itself as the day went on. He fished the conditions that were changing in front of him.
Go practicing.
And yeah.
Finding those shell cracker beds in 6 to 10 feet of water and switching up to a jig.
I like it.
Yeah. Pretty good adjustment. Riz, do we want to give any more love to the folks over at Bass U TV?
Absolutely. I got some shout outs here for some people that jumped on the board a little bit late with us. Sean Boyle, Randall, Fat Guy Outdoors, Kelly Osborne, Matt Eichinger, New York Chris, Dave Hall. We got a couple of the regular suspects, Wild Bill, and many more. We appreciate all you guys being on the message board with us tonight. And Jordan, I just want to remind everybody over on Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, make sure to like and share tonight's feed. Get yourself entered into a chance to win an awesome prize pack of all this good stuff sitting right next to me. It's just overflowing all over me. But one last question, or one more question for you here, Jordan. And this comes from Joel Lockhart. Joel Lockhart wants to know, what do you prefer when you're fishing offshore brush, a worm-style bait or a jig?
Honestly, probably like a worm, a Texas rig, just because it doesn't get hung up as much, to me. I mean, a jig is a great bait, and sounds like Buddy won on a jig last week, so it's hard to say. I'd have both tied on and try them, but a Texas rig worm, if you put that hook back in the worm, if you're throwing in a brush pile, it's not going to get snagged and as much as a jig would.
Gotta love it. Well, the one thing I'm sad for you guys. I heard that the MLF's not going to Lake Champlain because of COVID-19 restrictions in the Vermont side. I'm bummed I don't get to see you guys go to Champlain with that format.
I know it's a bummer. Champlain's like, it's one of my favorite. It's everybody's favorite lake. But yeah, I am too, man. It's going out of the Vermont side, that was going to be something new. We're always used to going out of New York, and I love Burlington. I got to go there last year actually, and man, it's just a great place. But yeah, I'm bummed about it. But going to Sturgeon Bay, so I mean that's a great place to fish too. So.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly be watching. And you guys fished in this tournament, which was unique, and I thought it would be troublesome. Is fishing 3 pounds as the restriction. So many times when I'm in Florida, you're catching 12-inch fish, 12-inch fish, 12-inch fish. But the 3-pounders showed up.
And the final day too. Final day is usually it can be the toughest day just because they've been pressured. But yeah, a 3-pound minimum. Thought it was really cool. I would like to see that more. And there's a lot of lakes that, but 3 pounds is a good fish. You could literally catch 20 fish and have, a 5-fish limit of 14 pounds and not even get to weight zero for the day. So, you see those zeros guys put on, but they could have had an okay day of fishing. But so, yeah, it was definitely a challenge to catch just 3-pounders and that be,
Yeah. Actually, I think Jacob Wheeler had that problem. I saw an interview with him where he was saying he caught more fish than he had previously caught, but he just couldn't break that 3-pound barrier on the last day.
Yeah, and that it's a lot of momentum too. If you start off and just catch 2 10s, 2 12s, 2 14, 2 15, that can be frustrating, especially on that final day, I'm sure.
No doubt. Brian,
Yep, Jordan, we have
the keeper of the scrolls here at Bass University, the almighty Ken Duke.
Ken Duke.
Jordan,
Gosh,
that's just Pete's way of saying I'm really, really old.
I
I'll
don't
tell you,
believe that.
Wisdom.
it is
Wisdom.
awesome to be on the show. I really enjoyed Buddy Gross. I don't know Buddy, but I'm a huge fan of Jordan Lee. Back-to-back classic wins. This guy, from the first time I met Jordan, when his brother Matt qualified for, I think it must have been the 2013 Classic or something, and Jordan was there having a way better time than Matt. Having a way better time. Jordan was in the middle of everything with all these legendary pros, and guys, you'd have been. It was so cool to watch him because he fit right in. It was scary. And Matt was telling everybody that Jordan was the best fisherman in the family, and of course, Jordan has put together an amazing resume. He's already one of the all-timers. And but I got to point out, Jordan, using a hair jig in Florida is illegal.
Hey, I'm glad that wasn't said at the beginning or at the last day of that tournament. Is all I'm saying. It can be illegal now. I think we should make it illegal now. You're right.
There's one minor clause. If you caught a crappie with it, then that's okay. But you're not allowed to catch a bass with a hair jig in Florida.
That's good to know. That's good to know. You would know, Ken. You honestly would know. You know everything, especially about bass fishing. But
No.
good call.
I'm just a Florida resident, man, and I learned a bunch from seeing you win that tournament. Just really impressive. We talk about guys who know how to win, and my gosh, 2 Bassmaster Classic titles before the age of 27. If I have one regret, Jordan Lee, it's that by not spending your entire career at Bass, we didn't get to see just how many classics you might have knocked down over the next 30 years or so. That would have been a really daunting number. I think you could have put that thing away.
Well, you don't ever know. The classics, super hard to win. But I hear you, man. That's all I can say. It was fun. I mean, those couple classics were definitely started really jumped my career in a big way. But you never know. I mean, hopefully I'll be around for a couple more years, so you never know where you end up.
Guys, did you notice he said the Classic is super hard to win? Kind of hard for me to believe Jordan when he won like half of them he was ever in. hard to take Jordan seriously on that. But,
best stats in the sport, and I think Jordan's going to be with us for a while because he reminds me of like the athletes. Like how certain athletes play the games hard, and it's hard on their body, and they're not going to last very long. And Jordan's opposite of that. Like everything is like butter with this guy. And
I don't know. I went to the chiropractor today because I was hurting a little bit. So that the chiropractor may have thought different, but yeah, hopefully, this sport, man. I mean, you see guys that have done it forever, and that's the cool thing about it. That you see the same. I mean, Rick Clunn, you see Gary Klein. They're still doing well in tournaments, and it's pretty impressive.
It is impressive. This is a great sport. That's one of the things that makes it great is we can do it for a long, long time. Clunn will be 74 years old in July, and he's still very competitive. Obviously, one of my early heroes in the sport. An honor to call that man a friend. But I'm thinking that Jordan could. The wear and tear of lifting trophies could take its toll on Jordan Lee.
Well,
that's about the only thing that might get him.
Yep,
I doubt that. I doubt that.
I've thoroughly enjoyed the show, guys. It's been really cool. You guys were talking about Humminbird, and Humminbird is relevant for Jordan, if only because an Alabama guy. Humminbird was started by Tom Mann, another Alabama guy who was from Eufaula, and Tom Mann had a high school education. He was a conservation ranger, and he studied sonar and learned how to build depth finders, which is astonishing. sonar was started by the military, but Tom Mann, with his high school education and an incredible desire, he got into it. And what I think is, when I think of Humminbird, and I know a lot of guys on the show, Pete, I think you're saying you're going to run a Humminbird. Greg runs a Humminbird. Riz, sounds like you've got Humminbird. Tom Mann was able to trademark the name Humminbird because he didn't realize there was a G in it. He misspelled it.
Yes.
That's not a joke. That's a true story.
That ain't
Are
no
you taking a
hummingbird,
shot
that's
at
a
people from
hummingbird.
Alabama, Ken?
I'm taking a little shot. Jordan, I'm taking a little shot at Alabama, even though my mom's from Alabama, okay?
Let's hear it. I've heard it all.
No. Well, I'm not even going to go there because whenever I make a joke about Alabama, it bothers my mom. So I'll leave it alone. I'll leave the heart of Dixie alone. Half my family's from there.
Right.
But it's always cool to the Humminbird and Tom Mann legacy is so impressive.
Well, Jordan, Ken is always with us, and he has some great trivia questions. And I wonder if you want to hang in and see some of these, or try to take a stab at some of these answers that Ken challenges us with.
I'm down. If Ken came up with them, they're going to be tough. It's not going to be a simple one, but 70s, 80s, if it gets back there, but 90s, 2000s, I think I got a shot.
Well, Riz, what is the winner of the Ken Duke trivia contest? What are they going to win?
The winner of the Ken Duke Trivia Contest is going to get a Bass University hat, Mike Iaconelli signature sunglasses, a Minn Kota hat, a Bass University official shirt, and a Flambeau box that's loaded up with awesome products from some of our sponsors, Rapala, Missile Baits, VMC. They're going to get hooked up with mini flip jigs, Nico hooks, all kinds of good stuff. The prize pack is valued at almost $100. So, guys, if you're still over there just milling around, creeping on Facebook, you still got a minute. Go over to Bash UTV, get signed up, take advantage of the free trial. Go now, do it, and then answer Ken Duke's trivia question, and you can get hooked up with this awesome prize.
Yes, sir.
Because if you're over on Facebook, you're going to know the answer, and you're not going to be able to win the prize. So let's not run into that situation. Go get signed up. It only takes a minute.
No Googling answer.
No, that's what I don't think you're going to be able to Google this. I don't even think Google has this information.
Only
at least
Ken Duke has this information.
You can search for it. But I gotta consult with my guys here. I gotta consult with Brian and Riz because I sent them 2 trivia questions.
Ooh.
Guys, which one do you think I should ask? Should I ask the classic question or should I ask the sonar question?
I'm not going to get this. I already know.
Always give up.
Let's go.
Sonar? No.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go sonar, and then we'll go classic question for the panel because we were already kind of toying around with that earlier. So let's go with the sonar question.
By the way, Jordan, it's all about attitude.
It's all about attitude.
I think Riz has absolutely the right approach here, but we've been talking about offshore, so naturally, meaningful offshore fishing really wasn't in the card for most guys until sonar was available. So my question is, what company introduced the first transistorized portable sonar unit, and what year was it first available at retail?
And
so it's
panel, that means Pete, Jordan, and Greg. Please don't say the answer if you think you know it, because we want it from the message board. Just think about it.
They're not going to get any help from me. Above my pay grade.
Yeah.
But I've got a panel question too. But first, I want to talk a little bit about something that Buddy Gross brought up, and that Jordan has experienced firsthand. Buddy mentioned some of his prize. Was it winning jigs from Eufaula? That the folks from Bass had kind of scooped one of them up at the end of the tournament. Probably somebody from TV, or maybe somebody from the web or the magazines
or
picked
Ronnie
them up.
Moore himself.
Could be. And but that fans at home might not realize that happens at every tournament. Somebody, because I used to be one of those people, we'd grab up that winning bait because we needed some studio shots of it, or we wanted to show it off on TV or something like that. And it reminded me of something that happened around 2010. Pete would remember this guy. Gerald Crawford was the photo editor at BASS for 30 years, from about the late 70s until about 2008 or 9 when he retired. And Crawford was an awesome, awesome guy, fantastic photographer. He's in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And he used to grab up the old lures sometimes, the winning lures. And after Crawford retired, Bass was relocating its offices in Celebration, Florida. And so we were cleaning out all this stuff that Crawford had compiled over the course of a 30-year career. And somebody came across this envelope with just the numbers 2005 on the outside. And they handed it to me because they weren't sure what it was inside. And so I look inside, and there's an old Smithwick Rogue. Ooh. And 2005 made me realize this is the Rogue that Kevin Van Dam won the 2005 Classic on in Pittsburgh at Three Rivers. And we've been holding on to this thing for like 5 or 6 years. It's been sitting in a file cabinet somewhere. So naturally, my first thought is, okay, I got to take this home and just hang it on the wall. But then I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I gotta take it to Kevin. So ICAST was coming up just around the corner, and I took it to Kevin. He was hanging around the Strike King booth at the time, and I said, I got something. I said, I don't think you want it. I think you'll probably just want to send me home with it. I opened it up, and he said, I didn't think I'd ever see that again. And it was all just chewed to bits, And unfortunately, he wanted to keep it.
Yeah,
so I was kind of bummed.
Yeah.
So Jordan, you've got a lot of classic winning baits, if you want to share.
They're hanging up. They're hanging on the trophies. I had to cut them off.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good for you.
Yep.
Good
for you. That's really cool. And that's something I've done. It's hard enough to win a tournament, but Kristen thought about it too, and cutting the baits off and putting them on, there, and just retiring them. It's pretty cool to look back, after a couple of years even. But yeah, like you said, I'm sure Kevin's stoked to have that.
Absolutely. I don't know where that old Rogue is, but yeah, I'm glad to hear that you've got them and you're hanging them off the trophies, because that's such a good thing to do.
Pete, do you still have your black Senko from your win?
Yeah, I do. It's sitting right
amazing.
up there.
Yeah. There you go.
I was there for Jordan's classic wins. I was there for Pete's Senko win on Cayuga. I covered that tournament for Bass, and yes. I'll never forget it. I got to know Pete a lot better because of that event, and really, really realized what a great guy he is. So, it's easy to be happy and fun when you've just won a big tournament, but you also get some insight into the person and kind of what makes them tick and what's important to them. And the guys get emotional, and it's really cool. That was somebody pretty well.
Yeah, that was great for me. And it's nice when you have a bait like hard bait or like that you can stick with, but something weird about a soft plastic. I think I went through 100 of them that week that helped me win that tournament. So I don't have that bait saved, but it was great having you covering the event, Ken. That made it extra special for me, for sure. And I appreciate that very much.
I'll never forget it, Pete, not only because we've become friends through the years, but also because just the cool pattern that you won with, which we'll talk about another time. I'm curious. How's it going, guys? Is anybody narrowing in on that win?
We got it. Yeah, I've been sitting on it here for a few minutes. I didn't want to jump in on the conversation. That's just, our Bass UTV folks. They're pretty. They're either really slick or they're really fast on the keyboard. One or the other.
Yeah. It's the higher education at Bass U. People know their stuff.
That's right. That's what it's all about. Our winner of the Ken Duke Trivia Grand Prize was Mr. DC. And with the correct answer of Lawrence, introduced the fish locator, a.k.a. the green box, in 1957.
57.
Congratulations, DC. You just won yourself an awesome grand prize pack from Bash UTV
with a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
Jordan, how old were you in 1957?
Oh, I wasn't even close to a thought in 57. I was nothing 57. So it's been a couple years back.
Yeah,
I'm not sure Jordan's parents were around in 57.
that's right.
No, I think my mom was 1. So yeah, so it's been a minute.
You guys, I'm sorry. This is just a strange thing that I recall, Jordan. But do you guys know Jordan's parents' names?
I do. I mean,
Gosh,
I think
you know
I do.
my
I've heard
parents'
the
name.
rumor, and it's too ridiculous to be true, but I think it's true.
It's too cool, Jordan. You gotta share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee is my mom's
Right.
name from marriage, and Bruce Lee, the karate. Like karate.
Yes.
That's it. Everybody loves that. There you go.
That's amazing, dude.
That is
Bruce
so
Lee.
cool. When I met him, I gotta say, at first I thought, oh, you're just kidding me, right? You know,
Yeah,
clearly you're not
Yeah.
Lee and
that's what
Bruce.
everybody thinks, but no, it's for real.
That's wild.
Because by that
No
point,
wonder
I'd
you're
already
so
got to
good.
know-
Your dad's Bruce Lee.
I mean, I'm saying, I got the karate lessons at an early age.
Yeah.
Be like
Got those
water.
hook set reflexes that you just can't believe. It's outrageous. Oh, but I'm sorry to backtrack a little bit on that fish locator, which everybody calls the little green box. I mean, I bet you everybody's seen them by now. It's a little portable thing, pops open. As a matter of fact, a lot of companies made those kind of things until recently. There may even still be some on the market. But that thing retailed back in 1957 for $150.
Ooh.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
If you extrapolate what it's worth today through an inflation table, that thing was selling for almost $1,400 back in 1957 dollars. So it was expensive. It cost what a decent sonar unit would cost today.
Wow.
Well, the only thing I remembered was Little Green Box. That was my guess. I could never
here.
get near the year or the brand. I did not have that knowledge.
Yeah,
But
I'm sorry.
congratulations to the winner. Who won that prize, Riz?
That was DC.
DC.
Yep. It
DC.
might be the DC that Jordan fishes against. I don't know.
Justin Cannell, good job.
Probably
I had the
not.
Hawkeye 63 or in 1973 as a guess I saw over on Facebook. But yeah, that was a great question. Ken, you have another question that you tested us with. You want to test us with tonight? Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, Jordan, this one popped up when we were doing our little test for the Zoom feed that we do before the show, and
I think Jordan will. I feel like he's going to know this one.
I think he's gonna. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get at least half of it like that.
God,
But
pressure.
yeah, it is pressure, but it's a classic question, and as a two-time classic champ, you're kind of required to know pretty much everything about the classic. So here it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Who are the only two anglers to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic in each of its first 5 decades, which is the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s? Only 2 guys qualified in all 5 of those decades.
Okay. I'm going to say in the 90s too, 70s, 80s, not.
70s through the 2010s.
Okay, one of them I'm going to say Gary Klein.
That's what I was thinking.
Very good. And Greg, I think you nailed that one right away.
And the other one, I'm going to say it's through the 2010s.
Through the 2010s.
God, it's got to be. I can't. It's got to be Rick Klein. Got to be.
And that's a great guess. And that was what the other guys in the panel were thinking too. But Rick's last classic, I think, was 2009. He didn't make it in the teens. I'm hoping he gets there in the 20s, but he didn't get there in the teens. So there's somebody else out there who made it all those first 5 decades. I'll give you one hint right now. You're competing against him on the Bass Pro Tour.
Who's the oldest guy?
Mark Davis. It's Mark Davis.
I think Mark Davis is going to be pretty upset with you for guessing him.
Yeah, Mark. That's not Mark. Mark's not that old. Gosh, man,
it's
this
not
is
Dustin
killing me.
Cannell.
Yeah, it's not Dustin Cannell. All right, give me 10 seconds.
We need another clue, Ken. I can't guess this one.
All right, Jordan, while your 10 seconds are ticking off, I'm going to give you another clue. This guy actually, Gary Klein, of course, qualified for 30 Classics and never won. This guy actually won a Classic.
Fritz.
No, Fritz doesn't fish against me.
Fritz
Dude,
never
I
fished
can't
against
think.
him, and Fritz never made a Classic until the 90s.
This is tough. Pete, you don't know it?
Man, I'm like you. I can't find this.
I was watching this guy last night on one of Lynn Dollar's throwback Bassmaster
Lynn Dollar?
series while I was eating my dinner. I was watching this guy fish last night.
Lynn Dollar?
Paul
Riz, you knew
There it is. That's got to be it.
what was it? Who said it?
Paul Ice.
It's got
Paul Life. That's correct.
Jordan must be tapped into my Wi-Fi or something.
No, I was just, it was digging deep. That's tough. That was a good question.
It's a tough one. Yeah, Paul did it. Paul, of course, won in '82, and I think he fished his last one about the time you were fishing your first one, Jordan. So Paul's done it every decade for the first 5 decades, which is crazy. That's some kind of longevity. And
He went on the Alabama River. He went on the Alabama River.
Yeah, he did.
Kneeling and reeling.
Kneeling and reeling. He put kneeling and reeling on the map. Paul has been on the forefront of so many cool techniques, kneeling and reeling, Alabama rig.
Yeah.
He's been, and of course, what he did at Falcon in 2008. He's got a lot of history going for him. He's been there and done that.
Man, that's a fact. He's been around. Congratulations, Paul Ice and Gary Klein.
And Jordan Lee.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Martin Davis.
Congratulations.
Hey, Jordan, I want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight, man, and sharing your story. Congratulations on your great win and your $100,000 hair jig fish. Well done. And yeah, I appreciate you spending some time with us. Thanks for the work you do at Bass University. I want to invite everybody to go check out his seminars. It'll change your fishing for sure. And I see, Ken, you have a parting comment for Jordan?
I did. I was going to say, Jordan, of course that fish ate a hair jig. No fish in Florida has ever seen a hair jig until that.
That's
Probably right. It's probably the last one caught on it too. But yeah, it definitely was a good one to catch on it. But
Well, great job, buddy. Thanks for taking some time with us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Good seeing everybody. Bass, you and Ken. Good to see you, man. Glad you got to be on here and talk for a little bit.
Thanks,
I
buddy.
definitely enjoyed it.
Thank you, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
Great. Jordan Lee, thank you, man.
You're welcome. See you.
See you, bud.
That was cool. I know he really wanted to stay on to spend a little time with you, Ken. So I'm glad we were able to get that worked out.
I appreciate the opportunity, guys. That's a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed Jordan. He's just a great champion, a tremendous talent. And, you're looking at the future of the sport of professional bass fishing. There's one of the guys. Of course, you got one of the guys all the time with Greg DePalma. He's there too. So, at Bass U, you're going to find those guys. If you want to see the past of bass fishing, you got it right here in me.
Yeah, well, we're grateful to have you and Greg, and we're looking forward to seeing what happens. And you've got me, who is the winner of the upcoming Ike Foundation tournament this weekend.
Absolutely,
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. That would coming out of mothballs and actually catching fish. I'm hoping I can pull it off.
Yeah, you might need to combat the mothballs on your hands with some, I don't know, Berkeley Max Sun or Liquid Mayhem or something.
I'm casting in my pool,
So you guys going to practice, Pete?
I'm going to get on the water on Thursday.
Okay.
So I've taken that day. I'm going to go down there and try to scout things out. By the way, we're competing in the Ike Foundation tournament this weekend. It's a great cause. It gets fishing rods into the hands of kids that wouldn't normally have access to it, and it gives scholarships to kids that are into the sport of fishing. And it's a great thing. If you can't be there to be with us this weekend, you can go to IkeFoundation.org and you can donate and help us spread this sport of fishing to people that might never see it. So go check it out.
Yeah.
And hopefully somebody here on this panel will be holding up the winner's trophy because Ken, I know you probably heard, but the Palma's in it. Riz is in it. The Carpenter's in it. I'm in it. We're all, we got, one of us has got to bring this trophy home.
I heard a little bit about that, and I heard about Brian's strategy to just keep the trolling motor in the water and go. And I think that that's going to be pretty cool. So I love that. I love that all you guys are competing, and I think there's got to be something other than the trophy and bragging rights at stake here. I think you guys need some sort of side bet where the lowest finishers, whoever the top finisher is in the group, doesn't have to humiliate himself on the next program.
Yeah, there's got to be a side bet here. And I'm wondering, do I get odds because I'm fishing with a guy who sits down to cast now and I got no outboard? What kind of odds do I get? Like a 5-pound lead spot or something? What do you got for me?
Brian, we got
nothing for you, man. That's a great strategy. You're likely to win.
I don't know. Likely.
Brian, we got a saying, and the saying is, if you leave the Northeast, you lead the fish.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. It wasn't hot this week though, man. It was mid-70s. I
caught them there.
Huh?
I caught them there.
You didn't catch the right ones.
I had a 4.23 and a 3 3/4. I mean, there's some good ones in there. Right. Maybe it's the wrong bait you're throwing.
No, trust me, I'll be all right with that. I got something. But stay out of my spots, Greg.
What are the suggestions? What's the side bet? What's the who's got to wear the dunce hat on the next show?
So the next Night Live, real quick, Sunday night we have a Night Live show. Most of us are going to be back in studio except for Pete. He's not allowed out. But we're going to get the winner. Hopefully it's one of us, but we plan on getting the winner from the Ike Foundation tournament on the show, and we've also got Zach Burge lined up. So we're going to get Zach Burge on the show. We haven't talked to Zach ever. So.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about some MLF action in the Bass Pro Tour, what's happening over there.
That's right. What anybody got an idea?
I got a Facebook like and share winner.
Yeah, hit it.
While we're thinking of it.
Yep.
Our Facebook like and share winner for tonight is going to get herself hooked up with some Ike sunglasses, a Missile Baits mini flip, a Bass University shirt, some Nico hooks, all kinds of good stuff. And our Facebook like and share winner is Andrea Zinni. Congratulations, Andrea Zinni.
Holla.
You are the Bass University Facebook like and share winner.
I'll support that.
Most excellent.
Hey, I've got something, Pete. We have the professional fish head. What the pros are really throwing. All right, this comes from our guy Justin Kimmel, and it relates to tonight's topics. The theme of tonight is the big worm. We're talking big soft plastics, 8 to 10 inches or longer. We saw it this past weekend in Florida and in Alabama. Offshore structure, brush piles, ledges, etc. Justin has a list of what the pros use. How he culled his list through. Justin's like Ken. He obsesses over the tournament scene, and we have the top 5 big soft plastics.
He looks past what's written and what is actually seen by what the guys are actually throwing.
There you go. That's a good point. He doesn't cull his list off of what's written down in the magazine, but what he sees.
Yep. Yes. Hint. Some of that stuff may be not so actual. What you see out there.
Top 5 list. Anybody got any guesses of what the top 5 big soft plastics that the pros are using to win?
Like company wise?
The bait.
The exact bait.
Yeah.
Old monster worm.
Number 1, baby. The Zoom Old Monster.
Mag Trick worm.
Let's see. Number 3. Zoom Mag Trick.
Go, Greg.
Go ahead, Greg.
10-inch Berkeley power bait.
Number 2. That's number 2. The 10-inch Berkeley power worm.
So we got 1, 2, and 3.
And we got 1, 2,
Give
and
us a
3.
hint, Brian. Give us a clue.
We got a Strike King worm, Strike King 10-inch bull worm,
Okay.
and the net bait 11-inch C-Mac worm.
C-Mac.
Yeah.
They make that C-Mac up to like 14 inches. I don't know how many of the 14s they sell, but that's a big worm.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one Canterbury was using in the latest Bassmaster tournament? Wasn't he throwing that net bait worm?
It could have been.
Yeah,
He was throwing something big.
Yep, to lead the tournament. And if not for Buddy's switch to the jig, you know, Scott would have run away with that tournament.
Buddy was fantastic tonight. That was
good.
You never know.
Juicy.
You don't know the guy, what he's going to bring. He was amazing.
I agree.
He brought it. He was
Great
really,
personality.
really good.
A lot of fun.
He brought some technique
really brought it,
and
too.
some strategies on how to do that kind of fishing that I hadn't heard before, which, you know, always opens my eyes here at the Bass U. When I hear something that I haven't heard before, it's really, you know, just how he practices, how he uses his sonar and you know, how he prepares for that kind of fishing. That was eye-opening, you know.
That was very cool. You know, we talk about tournaments and what guys are really throwing versus what they may say back of the stage after they collect the trophy. And I got a kind of a Bass U history class for you guys today. Today, June 16th, 2020, is the 110th anniversary of what may have been the very first bass tournament. Okay? On this day in 1910, two guys fished against each other in a tournament. One of them's name was, there was a guy named Smilin' Bill Jameson, and he had a lure he called the Coaxer. It was basically a weedless topwater hard bait, and it had weedless hooks on it. And he had this bait, and he used to advertise in a lot of different publications around the country, challenging other lure manufacturers to go up against him in a contest. They would fish their lure, he would fish his lure. And I think he was challenging to like $500 or something like that, which was obviously huge money at the time. And he finally had a guy take him up on it. The guy's name was Ans Decker. And Decker had a lure called the Decker bait. And it was another topwater bait that had this revolving, imagine a whopper plopper, but the plopper part is in the middle of the bait rather than on the tail end. And that was Decker's bait. And it had 3 treble hooks on it. And since Decker was the challenger, Jameson decided he got to pick the lake. And he tried to pick a lake kind of in between where the two of them were. Because I think Decker was from like New York and Jameson was like from Michigan. And so they settled on Ohio, a place called Congress Lake near Canton, Ohio. And Decker picked it. Jameson picked it because he had a weedless bait. And this is a really weedy lake.
Mm-hmm.
And they fished for 3 days.
Wow.
And Jameson wound up catching 28 bass. Decker caught 16. So Jameson and his weedless coaxer won the tournament. But both of them kind of claimed victory because even though Decker didn't catch nearly as many fish, he did catch the biggest fish. So even in 1910, bass tournament anglers were pretty much the same.
Yeah,
they would always find a way to claim victory.
And they had a lunker prize. That's good.
They had a lunker prize. They did. So 110 years ago, gentlemen, the very first bass tournament.
How about that? That's wild, man. I was expecting bigger numbers, like they caught 150 or something.
Well, you know, and I think Brian, you wouldn't be alone in that, but a lot of people don't realize that this really is kind of the golden age of maybe not the sport of tournament fishing per se, but as far as quality of fishing. Back then, people didn't understand or really appreciate issues like pollution and so forth.
That's true. Yeah.
And water quality is so much better now. Brian and I were having this conversation earlier today about how in so many ways quality of life is so much better today than it was, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, certainly 110 years ago.
Well, we see it. Yeah. Hey, well, we see it in our fishing. We see that the limits are the bigger and bigger, and their lakes are breaking records, and the health of the waterways is phenomenal. The Delaware River, which we live near, is had some really horrible times, and is constantly on the cleanup. They're starting to put freshwater mussels throughout the river.
Are they really?
It can sustain them. Yeah, it's they're rebuilding that. The Delaware River at one time had one of the most diverse freshwater mussel populations in the country, and they're putting them back in. They're filter feeders, and they once they're established, they even help clean up the river even further.
Excellent.
Hey, Greg, is everything okay? Is somebody want to jump on the show real quick?
Kelly's making me popcorn.
I love popcorn. I had a feeling she was near.
She was close.
Well, I think in our competition this weekend, if you catch less than 15 pounds,
Okay.
I'm not going to allow you to have a new Bass University camouflage hat. You have to return it. BTC.
That's a good one. It's not bad.
15.
Got to break the 15-pound barrier to get the goods.
Okay.
And what if you win? Do you get an extra one?
If you win, you get a dang margay.
I mean, yeah.
Is it purple? Is that the real color of the boat?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Who picks these colors?
Well, yeah, there's actually a good story behind it. But we'll get into that later. I say we just put $20 on it. $20 a boat. It's easy.
All right. And a hat.
And a hat. Pete, you supply the hats and the $20.
I'll throw the hat in. I'm in. I wish you guys all the best. I hope we all crush them.
Yeah.
And have a blast down there. It's such a fun. It's different from most tournaments, Ken, that I've ever been in, because it's like, everybody's having a good time. Everybody's so social. Now we're going to be doing social distancing, so it's going to be a little bit less of that, but it's less pressure. It's just a lot of fun to fish that event.
Hey, Pete, I just want you to
Less
know
pressure?
we're the only ones. We're going to be the only ones in the Northeast social distancing. all the party boats are going to be full.
Yeah.
The pleasure boats full. The
Bars full.
Full.
So all three of the cuts.
But we're being responsible anglers, so it is what it is. I mean, that's what we got to do right now.
Yeah.
Well,
we got some new stuff coming out on Bass U TV here in the next couple of days, and I want to let people out there know what we have going on. Tomorrow we're releasing a piece about deep cranking with John Murray, and that's an excellent seminar. John Murray really has a great way of breaking down his deep cranking system. And then on Friday, we're actually releasing another rap session video where I got the privilege to interview Matt Herron and talk to him about the 5 most important things in his bass fishing. So that's one that you're not going to want to miss. And then also next week, we're releasing an interview with Jesse Wiggins that we did down at the Classic this year. So we got a 3-pack coming up of some awesome anglers and fresh new content on bassu.tv. If you're not subscribed, you're missing out. It is the #1 best source of information in bass fishing. There's over 700 videos on the website, all with one focus: to help you catch more big bass. And also, one more reminder, don't forget to take advantage of the Cashin Rods promo code BassUDadDay. BassUDadDay. It's all one word, all lowercase. BassUDadDay to get 25% off an awesome American-made fishing rod from Cashin Fishing Rods. They really are a quality product. I suggest you go check them out.
Thank you, Paul Benson, for that awesome promo code. Yeah, BassUDadDay. I'm pretty sure that was on purpose.
It is an awesome rod, and John Murray we're releasing his video. One of our most popular seminars is How to Catch Suspended Fish by John Murray. And if you guys haven't viewed that yet, go over to Bass U TV and check that one out, because that is arguably the most difficult situation that you have to catch fish in, and John breaks it down. It's very, very helpful stuff. If you guys like what you see here at Bass University over on Facebook, turn your notifications on over on YouTube. Do the same thing. and get your notifications turned on so you know that we're going live. We're going to be live next Tuesday.
Yes. That's where I was going, Pete.
Okay. You go, Brian.
Well, I see if maybe we have a target guest in mind. It's not confirmed, but maybe Ken could tease it up for us a little bit.
I'm hoping to get a friend of mine named Jeff Holland on the program. Jeff is one of the foremost experts in the country on aquatic vegetation. And he's also a very I think he's pretty much stopped fishing the opens, but until recently, he was one of the top opens anglers on the BASS side of things, and just a really avid bass fisherman, a guy who can tell you anything you'd ever want to know about aquatic vegetation. And I'm really hoping that Jeff's going to be available because he'll be a great guest.
I hope so too. It's so important. You know, you're raising milfoil, hydrilla. What's the difference? What do they look like? Why do the fish use them? Eelgrass, ribbon grass. What do you call it? You know, and then there's just this crazy river grass that I want to ask about that we see down on the flats and on the Potomac. That this year is the first year I ever caught any fish out of it. Why don't the fish use it? You know, it's a beautiful grass, but yet I very rarely develop patterns in it. I've got a ton of questions that I want to know about, and grass is so important in fishing. If there's grass lakes all over the country.
Yeah,
So
I want them to explain what Black Death is all about, why we have to deal with that in South Jersey.
Yeah.
There's a lot of life in Black Death.
There is, man. It's like
crazy.
Shrimps in there and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you got,
Now
Greg? Just popcorn and Kelly?
Popcorn Kelly and a little tiny dog.
All right. Sounds like it.
I like it. Hey guys, I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us, and JDP, wish you the best of luck out there on the rest of the tournament trail, and
I know what you meant.
You know what I meant.
Jordan.
Good luck the rest of the season, man. We're looking forward to watching you out there, and hope you tear it up. Ken, thanks for being with us tonight.
My pleasure, guys. Always a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Always great to have you. BTC the Riz, thanks, guys. Get ready for the beatdown on Saturday. Look forward to seeing you guys out there. Brian, you're in charge of collecting the $20.
Yes, sign it too. You got to sign that $20 bill.
And we'll look forward to seeing everybody right back here on Bass U Live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We're going to let you guys know guests and what's happening over there. It's Father's Day. If you haven't got your Father's Day gift together yet, give them the gift of learning at bassu.tv. We've got a great gift pack where you can try it out for 30 days free. I'm Pete Gluzek for Bass University TV. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
It's Mike Iaconelli. This is Bass U TV.
Here's what's awesome about Bass U TV.
You get the top instructors.
You will learn things at Bass U that you will learn nowhere else.
And we help you build confidence with new techniques.
We take the mystery and the myths out of bass fishing.
Real tools that help you catch more fish consistently.
At Bass U TV, shoes are optional.
And I like turtles.
We teach you to enjoy bass fishing.
And that's why you want to check out Bass U TV.
Join the Bass U family.
Welcome to Bass U TV.